Welcome into the Weekend Sit and Spin right here on KineticHiFi.com, Spreaker Web Radio. Little bit different start today to the morning, but that's okay. It's because we're in our new studio. We're finally here. We've got our new studio over on Folly Road in the beautiful Windermere area of Charleston. It's great to be in the new studio, and we've come a long, long way since the Wafu Road studio back in 2012 when we first started this whole thing up. With the move, unfortunately, we haven't got everything set up. Boyd's been working around the clock here to get not only the Kinetic Hi-Fi studio set up, but the Fix as well. We have a lot of space, a lot of big things coming for both of those radio stations. It's an amazing studio here. It's really, really gorgeous. Great views, a nice back patio. We actually have a bathroom in the studio for a change, so that's nice. And we're in a house. We're not in a commercial area anymore, so no fluorescent lighting, nothing like that. It's really somber, chill in here. It's a nice place. I'm glad to be in the new Folly Road studios here for KineticHiFi.com. We got a big show for you today. Well, it's pretty much official. Obama set himself up as dictator-in-chief. Threatens to veto bills requiring him to follow the law. Said Wednesday in a statement that Congress may assign such power to itself, nor may it assign to the courts the task of resolving such generalized political disputes. He says Trey Gowdy has a new measure that he sponsored. It's basically the bill called Follow the Law, Obama. And Obama said the power of the bill purports to assign to Congress to sue the president over whether he has the power to discharge his constitutional obligation to take care of the laws, be faithfully executed, exceeds constitutional limitations, the White House Office of Management and Budget said on Wednesday in a statement. Obama goes on to say that vetoing the law that Congress to sue him in federal courts for arbitrarily changing or refusing to enforce federal laws because it violates the separations of powers. No, this is exactly what the separations of powers are there for, is to make sure you follow the laws that Congress sets forth. That's your duty. You're not king. Anyways, we'll get into that. I'll play some video clips from it. We've also got several different other video clips coming out of the CPAC conference this week, and they're pushing for Jeb Bush, but a lot of backlash. There's supposed to be a walkout on him. I'm not sure if that was yesterday or today. We've got the Phil Robertson speech that took place there. We've got Obama going after bullets. He's going to take the bullets out of your guns if he can't take the guns, and that's really the gun grabs that are going. We'll actually get started with that for the first segment here. Also different today because we don't have everything fully set up yet. It's still a process. We have no commercials. We have no bumpers. We don't have our entrance music, as you probably heard there. We have none of that. So we are, we're going to just do a marathon show today, 3 hours. Going to be on here. No commercial breaks, no timeouts, nothing like that. Glad we got the bathroom in the studio because I'm probably going to have to put it to use. So it's going to be a marathon show. It's going to be a little bit different, but you got me locked and loaded for the next 3 hours right here on KineticHiFi.com, also on Spreaker Web Radio. And I'm going to start off today with a video of the gun grabs. It's coming. It's here. It's official. Obama declares war on guns. It's a Alex Jones video clip from 2 days ago. So we'll play that to get us started.
Obama's executive action on the UN gun ban and to try to go after semi-auto, M16, M4, AR-15 variants. Almost no crimes are committed with these guns, but they don't care. 2% of crime, FBI statistics, are using assault rifles. In front of you is the Army version, or Marine Corps version. It's the infantry version, to be more accurate, of the Barrett 50 caliber rifle. And we've got 2 of those here at the office. And look, it's not coming out of its gun safe at night and attacking people. Because we're engaged in an info war. In fact, guys, will you bring in my printout that I had on the nightly news last night of how we burned in the camps later? Because that's really what all of this is coming down to these days. We're faced with classical tyranny. We're faced with a classical takeover. And notice how they phrase all this from the article in the Washington Examiner up on Infowars.com and DrudgeReport.com. The BATF-E and explosives says that since the bullets can be used in semi-automatic handguns, oh my gosh, they pose a threat to police and must be banned from production, sale, and use. But as the congressman noted, they offered no proof. Federal agencies will still be allowed to buy the ammo. All bullets are cop killers. All bullets can be armor piercing, basically. So the argument that they've got to ban a bullet because it can shoot through body armor. I mean, do you know how easy it would be if you really wanted to wait around the corner or walk up to a cop when they're getting out of their squad car and club them in the head with a ball-peen hammer and take their gun? I don't want to get into special forces tactics, but, I mean, you can go read about them online. You can learn about it. You can learn about World War II tactics. And I've talked to some of the old boys before they died that's how they'd get more guns and ammo when they were running out. Because they just go get German weapons, and how they do it is with a hammer. You're not going to stop people killing. I don't care if it's citizens, cops, whatever. And so it's, oh, you want to kill the cops. And the Republicans are like, you haven't proven this ammo can kill cops. Don't go in that briar patch. All ammo is cop killer. You can't restrict legal and lawful citizens' rights to ammo. By their argument, folks, the way I read this now, and I've had time to read it all, because it just broke as I saw it go up as a red link. By the way, this is a red link. This is basically all Full Metal Jacket. Not just the so-called green tips that I guess have a little... Is it a tungsten core, Jakari? In fact, I saw some of this in your office a few months ago on your desk. I think it was advertised as hog killer because I guess it penetrates better.
Yeah, I think we have that back in the prop room. But, yeah, I had to look it up exactly.
Yeah, you were doing some report when he was already proposing this, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah, he's been after this for a while.
Will somebody do me a favor and go find that in Jakari's office with the prop room? It's a green box, isn't it? Jakari knows where it's at. He can get it. My head's just spinning right now. I mean, I knew the other shoe was going to drop, but I'm going to explain this again. It wouldn't matter if the 322 pages of the FCC takeover have bad stuff in it or not, which we know it has bad stuff in it. That's why they won't release it. Folks that have seen it have leaked it, including commissioners. It's the FCC getting regulatory jurisdiction outside of Congress over the Internet in the United States, where the Internet came from. So that's why it's bad. We need net neutrality from the corporations and the government, and the big corporations, you better believe, are in deep with this group. So I want a full court press, folks. Obama moves to ban 223 ammo is really the headline. Subheadline, executive action, latest imperial move. Other ammo and guns will follow just as sure as night follows day. I mean, boom. Were you able to find it that quick, Jakari? Wow. He's got him right there. Let's punch Jakari up. There is the evil ammo. Jakari,
now,
show
these
us.
aren't green tips, but these are pretty similar to what they're talking about banning.
I mean, that's a penetrator round, isn't it? Or is that a mushrooming round?
Let's see. Centerfire.
Isn't that a game round?
Yeah, this is for hunting. Hog hammer.
You are watching the...
And there you heard a little bit of that. He's banning the 223 rounds, which are very popular for the AR-15, for the AK-47, for the M4. It's a very common rifle round that now he's banning by executive order, labeling them cop killers as the bullets. Funny. I thought the last big event in New York, Muslims were cop killers. Isn't that who killed Officer Liu and Officer Ramos? Crazy Muslim from Philadelphia? We're not going after the real cop killers. Let's blame the bullets. And I got a Paul Beard article out of the Washington Examiner. It's starting. As promised, President Obama is using executive actions to impose gun control in the nation, targeting the top-selling rifle in the country, the AR-15 style semi-automatic, with a ban on one of the most used AR bullets by sportsmen and target shooters. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives this month revealed that it is proposing a ban on 5.56 millimeter ammo on a fast track, immediately driving up the price of the bullets and prompting retailers, including the huge outdoor company Cabela's, to urge sportsmen to urge Congress to stop the president. Well, if only they could. But like we mentioned at the top of the show, Obama says that, too bad. I'm above the law. You make the laws, I break the laws. That's right. That's what he was telling Trey Gowdy. We'll get to that in a little while. But the summary of the ATF's proposed framework. The framework emphasizes the importance of interpreting the statute in a manner that carries out ATF's goal of protecting law enforcement officers from death or injury from criminal use of handgun ammunition capable of penetrating soft body armor. Accordingly, the ATF states that it must determine that a specific projectile does not pose a significant threat to law enforcement officers because the projectile is primarily intended for use in shooting sports and is unlikely to be encountered by law enforcement officers on the street. There's no way to say that. Any bullet, you could say, is going to be could be used against the police. A hammer could be used against police. A baseball bat, an iron rod. Don't you see there's more weapons out there? It's not just the bullets. It's not just the assault rifles. It's not just the guns. You take those away, there's still going to be weapons. And then only the criminals are going to have those. And in this case, I do mean the police criminals. In interpreting the primary intended language, the ATF believes that the most relevant intent is that of a criminal who seeks to use armor-piercing ammunition. ATF notes that the manufacturer's intent that the ammunition be used for hunting or target shooting is irrelevant if it can be potentially diverted to criminals who defeat soft body armor worn by police officers. Anything can be diverted to a criminal. Haven't we seen that? There's nothing you can't keep out of the hands of criminals. In fact, it's easier for them to get things more than it is for the law-abiding citizens. This is stupid and extremely naive to think banning bullets is going to change anything. All it's going to do is take away from law-abiding citizens and make them targets, make them victims. And it's time we stand up to this. Gun owners don't agree with the ATF's ammo regulations. Got a video, we'll play some of that. Maybe not the whole thing, but we're going to play a little bit. And, you know, they're coming at us on all fronts now. They're coming at us with the mandatory vaccinations. The forced inoculations, I'm against. You have the choice whether to put the needle in your arm or not. Or you should have the choice. Or in the case of your kids, you should have the choice. Not the government telling you what to do. I'm sick and tired of this mentality that Obama knows best. Listen to what he says. Follow his rules. That's not the case. He is not above the law, and Trey Gowdy is going after him to try to bring that back. I've got an article here on the Daily Caller. Obama threatens to veto bill that would require administration to enforce laws. We talked about this a little bit off the top, but we'll get back into it right now. In fact, let's play this video to set the stage here. This is coming out of... Oh, no, that's actually an older video. Let me find this other one that I had. Let's play this video here to set the stage. It's a clip from the Michael Savage show earlier in the week. So let's go ahead. We'll play it real quick. And it's a very short clip, but you'll hear what's going on here, and then we'll come back and talk about it. He will veto that vote because he's absolutely confident what he's doing is the right thing to do. Really, when everybody else tells you that it's the right thing to do, or it's not the right thing to do, what makes you think it's still the right thing to do, huh? That's the question I pose. Are we no longer a constitutional republic? Are we no longer a fake democracy? Is this now, to quote The Walking Dead, a dictatorship? We know you want to be a dictator with an emphasis on the first syllable there. That's what you are. Let's play it again here. Let this sink in what he is saying. He is saying he is above Congress. He is saying he is above the Supreme Court. He is saying that he is the ultimate law of the land. He has become a tyrant. Listen to it again, folks. And they cheer for it because, oh, he just looks so good up there on TV. Looks so presidential. He's like Harry Lennox up there. He sounds like Harry Lennox. He looks like Harry Lennox. He acts like Harry Lennox. Could that be because Harry Lennox trained him to be who he is? Could that be because, as Harry Lennox has said on the Mancow and Mueller show, that he trained Barack Obama to be a black man from the south side of Chicago? You don't believe me? Watch Man of Steel. Tell me the general doesn't remind you of him. You're going to think exactly the same because Harry Lennox trained Obama to be Obama. According to Bob Goodlett, President Obama has refused to enforce those part of our nation's immigration laws that are not to his political liking. He has waived portions of our welfare laws. He has stretched our environmental laws to accommodate his policy objectives. He has waived testing accountability provisions required under the No Child Left Behind education law. And that's from Bob Golett, chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. So you're saying you're above the Judiciary Committee. Why do we have three branches of government? Why do we have a separation of powers? Why do we have a checks and balance system? Could it be to keep us away from a tyrant like this? Same reason why he's taking our bullets. Because we have a Second Amendment to protect us against a tyrant like this. It's a disgrace. It's truly a disgrace. But that's all he's good for anymore. I'm going to veto the Keystone XL pipeline. We don't need it. Gas prices are falling. They're starting to go back up. It's creeping way back up. This is just disgusting that he says he's going to veto a bill to force him to follow the law. Do you understand how big of a threat this is to our liberties, to our freedoms? This bill is entitled the Faithful Execution of the Law Act. House is expected to pass the bill this week along with a companion bill titled Enforce the Law Act. Bills are expected to be blocked by the Democratic-controlled Senate, but the veto threat will help minimize the number of Democrats who support the GOP bills. I'm not going to follow the law. Whatever, I do what I want. That's right, Obama is Eric Cartman now. He's become Eric Cartman. Anyways, a lot more stuff to get to. Big show today. Like I said, marathon show. Fortunately, we're not taking breaks because we don't have commercials to play. So that's a big reason why. Here we go. Congress okays 1 week bill to keep Homeland Security open. Bordering on dysfunction, Congress passed a 1 week bill late Friday night to avert a partial shutdown of the Homeland Security Department as leaders in both political parties quelled a revolt by House conservatives furious that the measure left President Barack Obama's immigration policy intact. Hey, you didn't take a penny out of Obamacare, so why should we be surprised that you're leaving his amnesty bill intact? The final vote of a long day and night was a bipartisan 357 to 60 in the House, a little more than an hour after the Senate cleared the measure without so much as a roll call. That sent the legislation to the White House for Obama's signature and capped a day of bruising political battles and rhetoric to match. You have made a mess, House Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi said at one point to Republicans. Was she looking in a mirror? Because she should have said that to herself. Actually, I don't think she can look in a mirror. I don't think vampires can see themselves in mirrors. So Nancy Pelosi probably can't see herself even if she did look in a mirror. Yeah, woman, she's had so much plastic surgery. If she gets near an open flame, she's going to melt like she's looking at the Ark of the Covenant in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Swear, I can't stand that satanic scumbag. Even some of the Republicans readily agreed. There are terrorist attacks all over the world, and we're talking about closing down Homeland Security. It's like we're living in a world of crazy people, tweeted Representative Peter King of New York and former chairman of the Homeland Security Committee. No, it's like you're living in a world of criminals, Peter King, because you are one. There are terrorist attacks all over the world. We got to have a strong Homeland Security Department to spy on our conservatives, Christians, libertarians, gun owners, returning veterans. You know, the list that the Southern Poverty Law Center and the Department of Homeland Security themselves have put out as to who the real terrorists are. We've got to have the Homeland Security out there to make sure that, you know, little Johnny going to the gun range with his dad isn't firing off any 5.53 millimeter rounds. You know, even though an AR-15 would be a great gun for someone that's of young age to shoot because there's very little recoil. It's great for women to shoot because there's very little recoil. It's not going to be, like Joe Biden says, get a shotgun, fire off both barrels at once. What's that going to do to a little 110-pound woman if she fires off a shotgun with both barrels at the same time? It's going to knock her on her keister. That's exactly what's going to happen. I've seen it happen 100 times. You know, there's videos on YouTube you can go watch. If you're into watching, you know, hot women get knocked to the ground by guns, there's plenty of them you can find on YouTube that's going to show you that that's the case. Some Republican opponents, members of a Freedom Caucus, sat together in the chamber as the vote total mounted in the legislation in favor. This time, Pelosi urged her rank and file to support the short-term measure, saying it would lead to passage next week of a bill to fund the agencies through September 30th, the end of the budget year, without immigration add-ons. Aides to Speaker John Boehner promptly said there had been no such promises made. Of course, he's not going to admit to the promises yet. We still have a week to lie. We still have a week to get, little Mr. Well, no, it's probably Miss was right in the same time, but little Mr. Spray Tan up there, little Mr. I'm oranger than an Oompa Loompa, John Boehner. It's too early for him to tell the truth about it. No, of course we're not going to work along with them. I played golf with Obama yesterday, and I told him we're not going along with this until next week. Then we're going along with it. It's a disgusting joke. And it's selling out our country, our future, and our way of life. But people can't handle the truth now. People can't. Where's that clip? Let me find that clip right here. And we got a big we got a big dose of the truth at the CPAC conference this week with Phil Robertson's comments that he made, his speech that he made, talking about the real problem with the country and how a lot of it goes back to STDs, goes back to a lack of godliness in this country. I'm going to play a little bit of the speech. I don't know if I'll play the whole thing, but I'll play a little bit of it. But before we do, people couldn't handle what he said because we live in a society that can't handle the truth. Thank you, Jack. Let's go ahead. Breitbart's got a lot of coverage of it. Breitbart has a lot of coverage of the CPAC. They are going along. A lot of it is the Jeb Bush. Yay, Jeb Bush. Let me ask you something, folks. Let me ask the listeners out here and pose this question to friends, family, coworkers, anybody you can. Pose this question to them. Why in 2016 would we want basically the same election we saw in 1992? In 24 years, have we not progressed needing a Bush or Clinton in the White House? I think we have. Of course, I think both of those families are satanic scumbags. I think they're Illuminati-loving morons. And I think they want the destruction of the human race. They're ready to usher in their technocratic future. We've seen how connected they are. What with George W. Bush calling Hillary Clinton his sister-in-law. Oh, she's like my sister-in-law. That's what we say down in Texas. No, we love turnip-shaped women from New York. Anyways, here we go. This was out of the CPAC conference in Maryland here. We've got Duck Dynasty patriarch Phil Robertson electrified CPAC at the Gaylord Convention Center, citing statistics from the Centers for Disease Control that 110 million Americans now have sexually transmitted illnesses. Robertson attended the conference to accept the Andrew Breitbart Defender of the First Amendment Award. After an uplifting and poignant introduction by Breitbart CEO Larry Salvo, who expressed that Andrew would have been happy that Phil received the award, the Duck Commander explained that America is suffering from a lack of morality. Which, that is absolutely true. And you know what? I just want to use some time to call out another radio host who really just... I don't want to say I lost a measure of respect for this person, but definitely disappointed in his statements on it. And I'm talking, of course, about Michael Savage. If you listen to yesterday's Michael Savage show, he had some very negative words to say about Phil Robertson. And I beg the question to you, Michael Savage, as a businessman, as a doctor, as somebody who's wrote over 30 books, why would you criticize a businessman that's built a company from nothing, from scratch, to make himself a multimillionaire, to be one of the highest rated shows on cable television, to not back down on his faith, his beliefs, and his values in the face of all of that? When they threaten to take away his very highly rated TV shows, like, fine, take it. That's fine. I'll go back to the woods. I'll hunt. I don't need this. I don't want this. You came to me. Don't put me in a little politically correct box, because I'm not going to stay there. And we need more people that are going to stand up like that. But instead, what we've got is everybody out there like, oh, I have free speech to talk about things that make you happy. That's not what free speech is for. Free speech isn't to talk about things that make you happy. Free speech is to say offensive things. It's to tell the hard truths that no one wants to hear, but you still have to. Let's get into a little bit of those hard truths. I'm going to play some of the video. Like I said, I don't know if I'll play it all, but we'll play it and see where it goes. We have no breaks. This is the Marathon Weekend Sit and Spin here on KineticHiFi.com, Spreaker Web Radio. February 28th, last day of February. March is right around the corner. Hopefully that means spring is, but we do have reports that all 50 states are forecasted for snow next week. So hard to feel like spring's around the corner, but maybe it's coming. Anyways, here's Phil Robertson at the CPAC conference. Maybe. If it loads. Come on. We did get a new computer as well. That's why we lost didn't lose. We've got it. We just got to get back to it. But we did get a new computer here at the studio that's running super fast. Got to say thank you again to Boyd Stow and everybody that's helped really make this Folly Road studio come together. It's a beautiful studio. Great place to be. Really happy to be here and bring this show to you every week. Going strong in 2015 with the Weekend Sit and Spin. Nick O'Kelly should be back next week. Not 100% sure, but most likely he will be. So it's good. And thanks to everybody out there. Thanks to all the supporters and listeners who have stood by us during this time. It's been a lot of moving. It's been a rough month in February. I've been sick. Nick's been sick. We've been moving. I didn't have a studio, bouncing around places. So thank you for sticking with us. Hopefully after the next couple weeks, we get the new studio set up. Things will calm down. We'll be able to get back into the flow, and you'll come back to the show you've known for the last 3 years, what you come to expect. Well, going on 3 years now. So, still not loading. Okay, let's see if we can find it somewhere else. Find that, and before we do, we'll get back to that video. We'll play it in a little while. Before we get there, we'll play something else. I got to find another copy of that video. I'm sorry, folks. So, that was a different one. We're loading up. All right. Here we go. We'll play this. A complete stupid example of idiocracy. This was, if you looked at social media, the big news for the week. At least until Leonard Nimoy died. We'll get into that as well also. But I'm, of course, talking about what color is the dress. I honestly had no idea what was going on with this. I still don't really know. Got a Mark Dice video here that's going to lay it out for us. People talking about, is the dress white and gold? Is it blue and black? Is it purple? I still don't understand what the dress is about. I have no clue. So here we go. Mark Dice video about the dress. Set the stage. Maybe we can finally figure this out together. We'll be back in a few moments. Including best screenplay. And again, let's look at what's been the biggest trends over the past 2 months. We've got Brian Williams lying. We've got the dress. We've got Katy Perry's Super Bowl performance. We've got Deflategate. Meanwhile, Obama saying he's going to veto any bill that he doesn't like, including ones that require him to do his job. Can we fire him? Why don't we impeach him? That's insubordination right there. If you did that at your job, you would be fired. So why can't we do that to him? Oh, wait, because he's king in charge. He's our dear leader. We've become North Korea. And you have to understand the danger of Obama coming after guns, coming after bullets. Look, I've got videos I'm going to get into in probably the second and third hour here, folks, of actual detention centers, torture sites here in America. The same thing we've been using as black sites around the world to torture terrorists are now coming here to our shores. Why? To torture terrorists, air quotes. I'm, of course, talking about the Southern Poverty Law Center's definition of terrorists: conservatives, Christians, libertarians, gun owners, returning veterans. But even beyond that, maybe this will be. Maybe this will be finally the catalyst. If they come to take the guns, maybe it will push us over the edge. Alex Jones said it 2 years ago, and it still rings true.
The guns, the iron rods, Pierce, didn't do it. The tyrants did it. Hitler took the guns. Stalin took the guns. Mao took the guns. Fidel Castro took the guns. Hugo Chavez took the guns. And I'm here to tell you, 1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms. Doesn't matter how many lemmings you get out there on the street begging for them to have their guns taken. We will not relinquish them. Do you understand? And that's why you're going to fail, and the establishment knows no matter how much propaganda, the Republic will rise again when you attempt to take our guns. My family in the Texas Revolution against Santa Anna, my family was at the core on both sides starting that because Santa Anna came to take the guns.
That's right, and Obama's coming to take the guns. It's dangerous. It could set off a civil war, and that's what they want. That's what the globalists are pushing for. They want a civil war. That's why they've been pushing the race baiting. That's why they've been pushing for the cop killers. That's why, again, they're saying these bullets are the cop killers. Really? Really? Ask that to Officer Lou. Ask that to Officer Ramos. Who killed them? Last time I checked, it was a crazy Muslim from Philadelphia that killed his wife or girlfriend or whoever before he went and killed two cops. They tweeted out he was going to put wings on pigs. It's not 5.53 millimeter rounds that are cop killers. It's crazy, psychotic, in a lot of cases, Islamic people. But no, Islam's the message of peace. We love Islam. Obama is secretly Islamic. It's a worst kept secret, maybe possibly behind Michelle Obama's gender. Yeah, I went there. We're fired up. It's the last day of February. We're going hardcore. We're going jumping Jeff Farmer style. I'm going full force. But it was a sad day yesterday for Obama. He broke into tears as he said goodbye to one of the biggest traitorous scumbags to ever hold a high office in America. A man who said that you got to change the conversation and really brainwash people. Wants to brainwash American citizens. That's what this piece of trash said, this scumbag. Yeah, wrong one. Too many videos here.
Part of every day, some kind of anti-violence, anti-gun message. Every day, every school, at every level. One thing that I think is clear with young people and with adults as well is that we just have to be repetitive about this. It's not enough to simply have a catchy ad on a Monday and then only do it every Monday. We need to do this every day of the week and just really brainwash people into thinking about guns in a vastly different way.
That was, of course, Eric Holder, former attorney general, on his way out now. But yesterday was the last day, and Obama got a little emotional with it. Why is that? Pull up Obama crying, trying to find the video from yesterday, and all it's got is Obama crying over Sandy Hook, the Sandy Hook hoax. Boo-hoo-hoo. Boo-hoo. We're going to take your guns and we're going to sue anybody that speaks out against it. And you know what? Let me call out Lenny P.O.S. Posner. Piece of crap, piece of scum. That's what you are. You want to call down the fire? You went after the wrong person when you tried to take down the Alex Jones channel on YouTube, Lenny Posner. All he was doing was calling out the fact that they're supposedly using your dead son in a Pakistani school shooting. Explain that. You want to explain that? Explain to me how Noah Posner's picture ended up in all that Pakistani shooting stuff. Explain to me why his picture ended up for a Canadian water park. Huh, you piece of trash. You lying scumbag. You're hiding behind a supposed dead 6-year-old kid. You're going to hide behind that because you're a coward? Not a real man. Why are none of these videos playing off of Breitbart today? I'm getting aggravated by this. I've got the video here that I want to play, but I can't play it because none of my Breitbart videos will play today. And I can't find it on YouTube. This is really starting to annoy me. None of them will play. I don't get it. I really do not understand why this will not play. Let's see if I can find somewhere else. Their videos are playing from every other website, so I don't get it. It's really messing everything up today, but thank you for sticking with us. This is, like I said, we're still getting up and going with the new studio here. Thank you for going through our growing pains. This is going to work out a lot better for us. It's really come a long way. Like I said, we started out in the Wapu Road Studios back in 2012, and this is just we've come such a long way. This is now the 4th different studio we've been in. We were at the Avondale Studios, 2 different ones there, in the 827 and in the Daniel Street over there above the skincare center. So very, very great place. And this is just an absolutely beautiful place. It's got a great view here. I can look out this back window here. It's actually a little door to the patio, and just you see Savannah Highway in the distance, all the cars traveling out there, but just trees and grass. And it's so nice to have a nice, beautiful view, to not be tucked in some dark cubby room somewhere. Not that I'm putting down the old studios. They were great. A lot of great work building here, but I got to say, I really feel like this studio is becoming the culmination of Brad Cooper's dream. And we really miss you, Brad. And, everything we do here at KineticHiFi.com and The Fix is to try to bring your dream to reality, and you'd be proud, man. That's what I want to say. You'd be proud of where Boyd's brought this, and a big thank you again to Boyd Stow, to Vaughn the intern, who does a great job with her Fix show, and also she's got a show on there. I think Sunday nights, I believe it is, she DJs a show. We plugged on the BTS show this past week, so you can check that out in the archives. Also, don't forget, you can join Brian T. Shirley and myself every Wednesday afternoon from 4 to 6 with the BTS radio show. We interview comedians, movie stars, writers, authors, you name it. Anything in the entertainment realm we interview. This week we actually have a big interview coming up with a couple people from Old School Championship Wrestling right here in Charleston, South Carolina. So very excited about that. Jared Fritz, who does some ref work with them, is going to be here. I think he's going to bring a couple of the wrestlers on with him too. So very looking forward to this Wednesday and that interview. Also got an interview lined up for this Wednesday with a good friend of mine, Casey Lever, very funny comedian around Charleston, does a lot of work with Boone Hall when they do their Fright Nights during the fall. Does a lot of character work around Charleston. So you don't want to miss it. Big show this Wednesday. Definitely check it out. And check us out every Wednesday on the BTS radio show. Also, check us out here on Weekend Sit and Spin every Saturday from 9 to noon. Nick O'Kelly's out of the studio. We miss him, but he'll be back next week. So can't wait for that one. And I still do not understand why this video won't load. This is making me mad. It's making me very, very angry. Let's see if I can find this. Trying to find it again here. Let's see. Today. Is this part of the new net neutrality they passed the other day? Is that why I'm not finding any of these videos today? Is that why they're not letting them play? We've been saying this is going to come. That this is coming. This is what's going to happen. It's apparently what it is. None of these videos will play. Getting very, very aggravated. I don't know if it's something with Breitbart. I'm not sure, but it is very aggravating with the Breitbart website. Let me see if I can find another one. Anyways, folks, I do apologize for this technical issues we're having right now. Obama thanks Reddit for the net neutrality passing. More than 8 in 10 Americans don't like Iran. Media propaganda push there. But they don't like Iran because Saudi Arabia says not to like Iran. Meanwhile, we're covering up the fact that Saudi Arabia was really the ones behind 9/11. It's a disgusting joke. Let me see if I can find it on Google because I can't. This is making me mad, folks. This is really, really aggravating me this morning. I'm sorry, but it is. I want these videos to play so I can bring you a good show. And, of course, it's Breitbart. Here we go. Found in the Daily Caller. Maybe this one will work. Here we go. There we got it. I think play. Yep.
And I think about all the young people out there who have seen you work and have been able to get just an innate sense, without knowing you personally, that you're a good man. And, you know, having good men in positions of power and authority who are willing to fight for what's right, that's a rare thing. That's a powerful thing. It's something that shapes our future in ways we don't even understand. We don't always imagine.
Apparently Obama's definition of a good man and my definition of a good man are two different things. You know, I think somebody that stands up for his family, stands up for what's right, not what's popular, not what his communist handlers want him to do. Somebody that stands up for freedom, not tyranny, not race baiting, not whining and crying and sniveling at every little thing they do. Not that, yeah. We have different opinions on what's a good guy and what's not. But let's go on here with the rest of this. Aretha Franklin sang at his send-off. It was capped by Aretha Franklin singing America the Beautiful, Respect, and You Make Me Feel Like a Natural One. Probably directed at Michelle Obama with that one. Unnatural. Holder also provided a long list of his heroes, including the Founding Fathers, Lincoln, Frederick Douglass, Teddy Roosevelt, FDR, Garvey, Susan B. Anthony, Margaret Sanger, Jackie Robinson, Branch Rickey, John Lewis, Dr. King, JFK and LBJ, Vivian Malone, and Harvey Milk. He paused, adding Barack Obama. So his list of the heroes are Lincoln, Frederick Douglass, Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt, I'll give him. Busted up the trust. He did push the war propaganda, going to war in Cuba there, but in his Rough Riders. But yeah, he busted up some trust. He did some good stuff. FDR, Garvey, Susan B. Anthony, Margaret Sanger, who was personal pen pals with Adolf Hitler. She won awards from Adolf Hitler. How can Eric Holder? How can you, as a black man, say Margaret Sanger is one of your heroes when we have her personal correspondence with Adolf Hitler saying that she started Planned Parenthood to kill little black babies that nobody wants? 52% of black pregnancies end in abortion. It is genocide against the black race with Planned Parenthood, and you label the I said we're going full force. I'm going full force today. You label the piece of trash whore Margaret Sanger, who started Planned Parenthood, who was friends with Adolf Hitler, as one of your personal heroes? JFK and LBJ. One of your heroes was killed by the other one of your heroes. Do you not see the dichotomy here? During Franklin's soulful version of America the Beautiful, both Obama and Holder teared up. He goes on to say, Holder drew the strongest applause from the audience when he listed what areas he'd like to see improved in the future, asserting that at all costs, the right to vote must be protected. The right to vote must be protected for idiots that want to make the number one trend of the week, what color is the stupid dress? I haven't seen this much concern about a blue dress since Monica Lewinsky. Anyway, let's go into it. We're almost up to the top of the first hour. Marathon show today. No breaks here on the Weekend Sit and Spin because we have no commercials to play, but we'll get them back. Don't worry. We do have people still supporting Kinetic Hi-Fi, and we want to thank them. Library Society, Atlantic Repair LLC. You know, I got some good supporters out there. Signs to See, we're on Awapu Road. Girl Scouts here in Charleston. Got a lot of good sponsors here of KineticHiFi.com that we want to give shout-outs to. We'll get your commercials back up and going. And, hey, if you want to sponsor KineticHiFi.com or the Weekend Sit and Spin or any of the other great programming here, please contact us at the studio. Boyd Sal can get you set up with everything you need. Before Holder left, though, he said that we should lower the hate crime standards. More things are hate crimes than what are being prosecuted as hate crimes. Attorney General Eric Holder sounded a lot like MSNBC host and civil rights activist Al Sharpton in an interview published on Friday in which he called for lower thresholds for prosecuting federal hate crimes. Holder's surprising suggestion came during a revealing interview with Politico's Mike Allen as he prepared to leave the Justice Department top position. Let's see if I've got that. Let's see. Going over to Politico. Oh, maybe that's why. It looks like our Adobe Flash Player is having a problem. In a lengthy discussion ranging from his own exposure to the civil rights movement of the 60s to today's controversy surrounding the shootings of Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown, Holder also acknowledged he felt some of his own struggles with Republicans in Congress during 6 years in office were driven partially by race. There have been times when I thought there's at least a piece of it, he added. I think the primary motivator has been probably political in nature, but you can't let it defect your eyes on the prize. Can I just bring up again, if you want to go back to the 60s civil rights movements, if you want to quote Dr. King, then let's judge Michael Brown and let's judge Trayvon Martin not by their skin color but by the content of their character. They both attacked other human beings violently. That is their character. That is not their race. That is their character. They were scumbag thugs who got killed violently because they had violent confrontations. Actions have consequences. Again, this is a hard truth nobody wants to hear, but actions have consequences. And if you attack somebody, you take your life into your hands when you do. Here we go. Let's see if we can find this. Eric Holder on Al Sharpton's legacy. Here we go. President Obama, Race in America. I've got a couple clips we're going to pull here from. These are excerpts from the whole interview. I'm having trouble finding the whole interview. Let me check one place really quickly and see if I can find the whole interview here. Nope, don't have it. So we'll play a couple little clips here with this. This one's the one we just talked about with Holder on civil rights, Trayvon Martin and Ferguson. We'll play this one, then we'll play another one right after that about
Trayvon Martin's
Obama
mother says George Zimmerman got away with murder. You're writing a letter to Trayvon's parents. What will it say?
Well, I'm going to try to. I'm going to pen a letter to them. I've worked on it already, and I think I'd like to kind of keep that personal. But one of the things it's certainly going to talk about is my admiration for the way in which they have conducted themselves. The loss of a child is not something that we are biologically engineered to handle, and the dignity with which they have carried themselves, the determination that has been generated in them to make something positive out of the tragedy that they have had to endure, has created in me a great deal of admiration for them.
Now, the Ferguson inquiry will be resolved before you leave?
Yes.
And it looks like no federal charges in Ferguson or Trayvon. I'm a young African American. What do I think?
Well, I would say, first up, I have not announced anything with regard to.
Here's what you think. Don't attack people. Plain and simple. Don't attack people.
To Ferguson. But what
it looks like. Yeah.
But what I said to the people of Ferguson is what I think people ought to understand, is that we have done independent, thorough investigations in all of the matters that we have examined, that we have brought record numbers of cases against police departments around this country. I don't think anybody would be able to look at this Justice Department over the last 6 years and say that we've been anything other than aggressive in trying to root out inappropriate police conduct, while at the same time trying to establish or reestablish bonds of trust between communities of color and people in law enforcement.
Mr. Attorney General, are the standards of the civil rights laws too high for you to make cases in instances like this?
I mean, that's certainly something that I'm going to want to talk about before I leave. I think some serious consideration needs to be given to the standard of proof that has to be met before federal involvement is appropriate. And that's something that I'm going to be talking about before I leave office.
And in what sense have you come to realize that the standards in the civil rights laws are too high?
Well, I think that if we adjust those standards, we can make the federal government a better backstop, make us more a part of the process in an appropriate way to reassure the American people that decisions are made by people who are really disinterested. And I think that if we make those adjustments, we will have that capacity.
What's the biggest adjustment you'd like to see?
Well, I don't want to go into it right now, but I'm going to talk about that before I leave.
I don't want to go into that, but we'll talk about it.
There clearly have been times when you have felt disrespected on Capitol Hill. How much of that do you think relates to race?
It's hard to say. Hard to look into people's minds, their hearts.
But were there times when you thought that was a piece of it?
Yeah, there have been times when I've thought that's at least a piece of it. I think that the primary motivator has probably been political in nature. I've not been a person who's been reluctant to express my own views about certain things, and that's kind of who I am. It's the way I was raised. It's how I'm wound, and I think that probably generated, the greatest part of the criticism, the unfair treatment that I think I got.
Now, the piece of it that was racial, how did that make you feel?
It's not something that I focused on an awful lot because, the reality is I have a job to do. I had a job to do. And the criticism is going to come, whatever its source. You can't let it deflect you from, keeping your eyes on the prize. I had to take a Justice Department that was in shambles, when I got here. Political hiring, political firing, exclusion of career people from decision-making for political reasons. And so I had to rebuild the department, put in place people who I thought would share my view of what this department ought to be
that's
doing.
all the Bush administration that you're talking about there.
Yeah, I mean, these are all documented in Inspector General reports. It was a low point for the Justice Department, an institution that I love. I've been here since 1976, in some form or fashion, and so we had to rebuild the department, and then on the basis of that rebuilding, advance the things that I thought really important: criminal justice reform, protecting voting rights, dealing with LGBT issues, protecting the national security while at the same time adhering to our values.
How much of the criticism of President Obama is infected with race?
Hard to tell. I certainly don't think that that's the primary thing that happens in Washington. And then there are fringe people around the country.
Well, more than fringe.
Well, fringe people around the country who will say, racially based things. But I think.
But the non-fringe, the other people who criticize this president or have beef with this president, how often do you think that race is part of that?
It's hard to tell. It's really hard to tell. People, when they are going after you, try to come up with what they think is going to be the most effective technique. And so they use a whole variety of other things. You weren't born in this country. You are the other. You come up with ways in which you try to be effective in your attacks. And certain people have been, less sensitive than they should have been to understand that certain things, given our history, there's certain places that you shouldn't go.
So again, he goes back to blaming the race. People just don't like Obama because he's black. No, people don't like Obama because he's taking away our rights, because he's destroying our country, because he said he fundamentally wanted to transform America. And what he's transforming it into is an Islamic-loving place where, if you're a conservative, Christian, libertarian, gun owner, or returning veteran, you are the enemy. Hard work makes you the enemy. You want to build a business? Well, you can't because Obama says you can't, but if you do, you're the enemy. You actually want to get a job? You don't want to be a welfare scumbag? You're the enemy. Look, it's time we stop dictator Obama. Here's an Alex Jones piece about it.
I've got Infowars.com to my right on my little iPad, and then I've got DrudgeReport.com to my left over here, and I've got my crew constantly scanning the news. We knew he would go after the AR-15. He promised to with executive action. Congress has warned him. We knew he would, because the anti-gun groups tell us what they're going to do. We knew he would use the UN treaty as some type of official authority to supersede Congress and the Bill of Rights. And now they're actually going to try to ban a type of Full Metal Jacket 223 that they call armor piercing. They're all armor piercing. This is incredible. And then by that argument, ban everything. I am simply blown away at this point. I want to take your phone calls again in the third hour after our special guest on a bunch of key positive health news, but we'll also go over some of the studies that are out. Will you guys reprint me that Canadian government study on the fluoride causing brain damage? And then there's this new one out of England, the London Telegraph, on it also causing brain damage and depression and the thyroid to go out. I know we covered that yesterday, but I'm going to get back into that with this GM news. And then we're going to cover full body transplants will be possible within 2 years. Now, that's in the London Independent. Obama threatens to fire, quote, ICE officials who don't follow his executive amnesty, his illegal executive amnesty. Unbelievable. So, again, the government is not even our enemy here. They always call us anti-government. We're anti-unconstitutional government, anti-all-powerful state. But they want to make it where if you disagree with out-of-control government, you hate the Border Patrol, you hate the FBI, you hate the bookkeeper And I've always, been critical of these groups, but always said, hey, they're not the enemy, but at the same time got threatened by them at a primitive level and said a lot of mean things. I realized I was helping the PSYOP the last 6-7 years. Everybody's noticed my change because I go out to rallies at federal buildings. I get a lot of intel from feds. They're more awake. People like Bongino and Dan Bongino and just countless others that you've heard on the air and countless others you haven't. They're totally freaked out, folks, because they know the law. They know that they're being ordered to engage in crime, and they don't know what to do. They're begging the American people to put a stop to this. The globalists, if I was them, and I know how they think, they've done it before. 1995, they're going to blow stuff up. They're going to do it. They're going to blame it on us. You can see them building up to it to try to get us all killing each other, and I'm just not going to be part of it. I am not offensively looking to start a war. But if they start rounding people up and doing stuff like that, it will start a real civil war. And just know that people like George Soros and the globalists are the ones to blame, ladies and gentlemen. And I just hope that all the fools that have gone along with this system, because they've got a lot of idiots working for them as well, understand they're on the losing end and they're on the wrong side of history. I mean, who could deny that bad guys are running the country? Congress has an 8% approval rating in Gallup right now. That's just a general approval of government. The feds and locals need to decide whose side they're on and need to work with the public to try to save this country. And I know most of you are already on that page. What do we do about the brainwashed that think following every criminal order is what they're supposed to do? How do we stop this? There's some smart people out there. Will you please give me some ideas? I'm just trying to warn everybody, hoping we're smart enough to figure it out. Briefly, we will sell out of super male and super female vitality. Well, super female isn't selling out, but super male is selling out. So we may have to end the special of 20% off earlier than next week because it's all selling out. There's 2 days left, 20% off. They're already discounted. Super male, super female vitality. You've heard the rave reviews. So if you want to try it, get your bottle today. And we are selling out of the Ancient Defense, so if you want your free bottle of that with X2, find it at InfoWarsLife.com. InfoWarsLife.com. And your purchase supports the broadcast. Well, we knew it was coming. Obama promised executive action on the UN gun ban and to try to go after semi-auto, M16, M4, AR-15 variants. Almost no crimes are committed with these guns, but they don't care. 2% of crime, FBI statistics, are using assault rifles. In front of you is the Army version or Marine Corps version. It's the infantry version, to be more accurate, of the Barrett 50 caliber rifle. And we've got 2 of those here at the office. And look, it's not coming out of its gun safe at night and attacking people. Because we're engaged in an info war. In fact, guys, will you bring in my printout that I had on the nightly news last night of how we burned in the camps later? Because that's really what all of this is coming down to these days. We're faced with classical tyranny. We're faced with a classical takeover. And notice how they phrase all this from the article in the Washington Examiner up on Infowars.com and DrudgeReport.com. The BATF-E and explosives says that since the bullets can be used in semi-automatic handguns, oh my gosh, they pose a threat to police and must be banned from production, sale, and use. But as the congressman noted, they offered no proof. Federal agencies will still be allowed to buy the ammo. All bullets are cop killers. All bullets can be armor piercing, basically. So the argument that they've got to ban a bullet because it can shoot through body armor, I mean, do you know how easy it would be if you really wanted to wait around the corner or walk up to a cop when they're getting out of their squad car and club them in the head with a ball-peen hammer and take their gun? I don't want to get into special forces tactics, but, I mean, you can go read about them online. You can learn about it. You can learn about World War II tactics. And I talked to some of the old boys before they died that that's how they'd get more guns and ammo when they were running out. They just go get German weapons, and how they do it is with a hammer. You're not going to stop people killing. I don't care if it's citizens, cops, whatever. And so it's, oh, you want to kill the cops. And the Republicans are like, you haven't proven this ammo can kill cops. Don't go in that briar patch. All ammo is cop killer. You can't restrict legal and lawful citizens' rights to ammo. By their argument, folks, the way I read this now, and I've had time to read it all, because it just broke as I saw it go up as a red link. By the way, this is a red link. This is basically all Full Metal Jacket. Not just the so-called green tips that I guess have a little... Is it a tungsten core, Jakari? In fact, I saw some of this in your office a few months ago on your desk. I think it was advertised as hog killer because I guess it penetrates better.
Yeah, I think we have that back in the prop room. But, yeah, I had to look it up, the exact...
Yeah, you were doing some report when he was already proposing this, right? Will somebody do me a favor and go find that in Jakari's office in the prop room? It's a green box, isn't it? Jakari knows where it's at. He can get it. My head's just spinning right now. I mean, I knew the other shoe was going to drop, but I'm going to explain this again. It wouldn't matter if the 322 pages of the FCC takeover have bad stuff in it or not, which we know it has bad stuff in it. That's why they won't release it. Folks that have seen it have leaked it, including commissioners. It's the FCC getting regulatory jurisdiction outside of Congress over the internet in the United States, where the internet came from. So that's why it's bad. We need net neutrality from the corporations and the government, and the big corporations, you better believe, are in deep with this group. So I want a full court press, folks. Obama moves to ban 223 ammo is really the headline. Subheadline, executive action, latest imperial move. Other ammo and guns will follow just as sure as night follows day. I mean, boom. Were you able to find it that quick, Jakari? Wow. He's got him right there. Let's punch Jakari up. There is the evil ammo. Jakari, show us.
Green tips, but these are pretty similar to what they're talking about banning.
I mean, that's a penetrator round, isn't it? Or is that a mushrooming round? Isn't that a game round?
Yeah, this is for hunting.
So, yeah, we got to stop Obama. I mean, he's running wild. He's become a dictator, like he said. We played the clip at the top of the show here with him saying, yeah, let Congress make a law saying I'm illegal. I'll veto it. It's disgrace. It's disgusting, but... Year and a half if he'll actually leave. I doubt he will, but hey, we'll see. NRA, the National Rifle Association's Wayne Lapierre, the vice president, came out and said that the threats are carving a bloody trail that leads to our doorstep. How much longer till the horrors come to the supposedly gun-free zone of the Mall of America or the mall of a town where you live, NRA leader told a receptive audience at the CPAC conference. And as politicians look at Americans and tell them it's all okay, the people he talks to know that it's not okay. They see their freedoms taken away. You can't say this, you can't do that, you can't ask why. If you do, you'll be shouted down, shamed, accused, audited, investigated, motives condemned. You'll be told to shut up. Americans are in charge of their own family security and their schools and cities and wherever we live, Lapierre said. He states, and where states and cities have passed laws allowing guns to be carried, violent crime has dropped to the lowest level in decades. You know, look at Dallas. When they first got their concealed carry going through, carjackings went down. They became almost non-existent. And in the 70s, they were very high in Dallas with carjackings. But, you know, when there was a threat that the person in the car might have a gun, people stopped stealing cars. But too many states are refusing to recognize such laws, and good, honest people go to jail as a result. However, he maintained permanent laws don't pose a threat to anyone except bad guys. Yeah, it's the thing is the innocent go to jail, the guilty are rewarded. The innocent suffer, the guilty are applauded. The innocent are ran down, the guilty are rewarded. They're given awards. They're put up on a podium. Meanwhile, the hardworking, salt-of-the-earth Americans are being ran down. We've bounced around the subject quite a bit. Let's go ahead and let's get into this. The net neutrality. Goodbye, Internet. Hello, ObamaNet. A Mark Dice video we got coming up right here for you.
Communications Commission approved their secret sweeping internet regulation plan called net neutrality, which is an Orwellian doublespeak term for internet control now, which has designated the internet a public utility. a public utility like the sewer system or like the electric companies or the gas company. Yes, the internet now apparently as important to people's life as the functioning sewer system. Of course, this is all part of the Obamacareization of the internet. Remember the Obamacare bill, which, we couldn't read until it was actually passed? Remember all the broken promises about how if you can, if you like your doctor, you can keep it. If you like your plan, you can keep it. It was also Orwellianly named. The, Affordable Care Act just tripled most people's insurance, as many of them had their policies canceled, of course. So now the Federal Communist Communication Commission taking over the internet. This shortly after the United States had just turned over ICANN, the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, the organization that basically is responsible for coordinating and maintaining the databases of domain names, etc. Yes, now which we created. America, created the internet through DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, and now we have just turned over ICANN basically to the United Nations. So goodbye, internet. It was nice knowing you. As the FCC has adopted, now approved, their secretive and historic internet control rules, tougher internet rules, as the Obamacareization of the internet will now begin, most likely hidden in this over 300-page bill, will most likely be a provision where you will have to submit your driver's license in order to use an email account or Facebook or Twitter, etc., etc., as the heydays of the wild World Wide Web West now appears to be over, and the ramifications of this new Orwellian doublespeak neutrality bill will only begin to be seen and understood.
And we've got 7 reasons here why net neutrality is a threat to your freedoms. This is coming out of Newsmax.com. The FCC's Democratic majority voted Thursday to fix something that ain't broken by approving new regulations for the internet. Republicans are dissenting, darkly suggesting that the new rules in government hands are a threat. The Commission's chairman, Tom Wheeler, said the new rules will ensure net neutrality by barring internet service providers like Comcast from charging companies like Netflix for priority data transmission. Considering that ISPs don't do this and currently treat all data transmission equally, Representative Darrell Issa of California accused the FCC of trying to fix something that's far from broken. Here are 7 reasons why the FCC's net neutrality rules could be a threat to your freedom. Number 1, the FCC's new rules are heavy-handed government takeover of the internet. Under the new rules, broadband internet is classified as a public utility for the first time ever. This gives the government wide control of private companies like Comcast, Verizon, and Time Warner Cable, reducing their incentives to invest their representative networks. Without this investment, broadband technology will develop more slowly and prices will be higher for consumers. Because, as we see, every time the government gets involved, prices go up and services decline. Net neutrality subsidizes large companies like Netflix and Facebook who don't need it. In November, it was widely reported that Netflix alone accounts for over 35% of all internet traffic in the U.S. If broadband providers were able to charge Netflix a small fee for the high volume of data they send, they could pass that money on to consumers in the form of lower monthly bills. Exactly. Not to mention the fact that as more and more things go HD, as more of them go 3D, and they put caps on your internet streaming, you no longer have unlimited internet. You're capped at a certain amount per month, usually around 300 gigabytes. You watch one movie, you're done. So, of course, if there was a little bit of a charge to Netflix or a little bit of charge to other large internet sites that get a lot of traffic, YouTube, maybe not directly to YouTube because, there's a lot of people that make money off of YouTube. So, you know what? Charge YouTube. Net neutrality... The new rules subvert democracy and the will of the people. CBS News reported that 2 in 3 Americans are opposed to the idea of government regulating the internet. Other polls show that the opposition to net neutrality is even higher. The new regulations will stifle free speech. Lee Goldman, former chairman and current commissioner of the Federal Election Commission, told Newsmax TV that government takeover of the internet will chill political speech. The government will regulate the content, and specifically the political content, that the American people can both post online to express their own political opinions and the political content and information that people can access from the internet, said Goodman, who was appointed to the FEC in 2013 by Obama. The rulemaking process was corrupted by the White House. That's number 5. President Obama and the White House staffers used back-channel meetings to pressure Chairman Wheeler into creating the strongest possible net neutrality rules over the more moderate approach he originally intended. In this way, the White House operated like a parallel version of the FCC itself, the Wall Street Journal goes on to report. Number 6, the commission's vote wasn't transparent. Wait, this is going to be the most transparent and open administration in history. We heard that from Obama, right? I love how he's holding up a picture here of the 317-page plan to regulate the internet right in front of a picture of Obama. Oh, where were we? The commission's vote wasn't transparent. A new set of rules ushered in by Thursday's 3-2 vote were not provided to the public for comment. Ahead of the vote, one of the agency's 5 commissioners, Ajit Pai, tweeted a picture of the 317-page plan that he was barred from showing the public. Even after the vote, the rules will not be published publicly for many days. In fact, to make sure he didn't open it and show the people what are in there, there are 2 red bands wrapped around this 317-page plan. The new rules will hurt the right to privacy and further empower the federal government to spy on its citizens. And that's really what it comes back to, is the prison surveillance program. It's the NSA's surveillance programs, the things Edward Snowden has revealed. After Edward Snowden leaked the NSA secret PRISM surveillance program in 2013, it became clear that the federal government is interested in snooping around in the private affairs of its citizens. Now that the federal government controls the web, its ability to spy will only increase. Of course, we're already seeing that out of Samsung TVs. We're already seeing that out of your phone. They now say whatever you ask Siri on your iPhone gets recorded and sent to a database where they can look into that. So all the people that are joking around with Siri, that's all on record. Welcome to 1984, folks. Big Brother is watching. Big Brother is always watching. You can never escape from it. It's here. But if you speak out about it, you'll be labeled as a terrorist, as a hate monger, as a racist. GOP says the FCC's rules as a Trojan horse for the internet takeover. Robert Walker says the FCC's net neutrality plan stifles innovation. Hopefully there'll be tons of lawsuits coming. Phil Kerpen projects that. FCC's net neutrality ruling protects religious speech, but not political speech, unless it's political speech that you agree with. AR-15 ammo ban, first step in outlawing guns, opponents say. That's also coming out of Newsmax. I'm scrolling down through the Newsmax headlines right now. This is, folks, you can't make this up. Really, it feels like I'm reading a fictitious satire of what our country really has become. But no, it's true. It's the thing is, satire couldn't even do this as well as Obama has. All right. Nothing else big jumping out there. Let's go ahead and we're still running marathon show here on the Weekend Sit and Spin, commercial free all day, 3-hour marathon. Getting through it, we're almost to the halfway point. Thank you for joining us here on KineticHiFi.com and Spreaker Web Radio. Again, a reminder, Nick O'Kelly should be back in the studio next Saturday. Know it's been kind of crazy over the last month between illnesses, travel, family in town, and moving the studio. We've kind of been all over the place, but we're glad you're joining us here today. And so Nick O'Kelly will be back. We'll be back to our normal show next week. Thank you for joining me for this very special 3-hour marathon show. Breitbart.com, we got Trump, Donald Trump saying the executive amnesty will make illegal immigration worse than it's ever been. Isn't that the goal? Isn't that why we brought all of those illegal kids here? And now we've got measles for it. We got outbreaks of neurovirus. We got outbreaks of all sorts of diseases that have come across our porous border. Not to mention the threat of terrorists coming across the porous border. Not to mention the fact that they've come out and they've said they want to shoot up malls in America. Anyway, let's get into this. We're going to play the at least some of it. I don't know if I'm going to play the whole thing, but play a little bit. Let's go ahead and play a little bit of the Phil Robertson at the CPAC conference. This one looks good. This video sounds like an Eric Cartman statement here. Phil Robertson tells CPAC that STDs are the revenge of the hippies. Let's play that one and get into a little bit of his STD stuff and play a few other videos.
I got my facts from the CDC day before yesterday. 110 million Americans now have a sexually transmitted illness. 110 million? I'm looking at it and I said, I don't want you, America, to get sick. I don't want you to become ill. I don't want you to come down with a debilitating disease. I don't want you to die early. You're disease-free, and she's disease-free. You marry. You keep your sex right there. You won't get sick from a sexually transmitted disease. Come on. There is a penalty to be paid. From what the beatniks and then morphed into the hippies. You say, what do you call the 110 million people who have sexually transmitted illnesses? It's the revenge of the hippies. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll have come back to haunt us in a bad way. I report, you decide. I mean, I'm reading this stuff from the CDC, and it says, how many sexual encounters does one have to catch a sexually transmitted illness? It said 1. I'm like, figure out the odds on that one. How many seconds does it take to get genital herpes? It said 30 seconds. I'm like, whoa, that's pretty quick. You want a godly, biblical, medically safe option? One man, one woman, married for life. And if you hate me because I told you that, I told you my love for you is not contingent on how you feel about me. I love you anyway. I don't want you to see you die early or get sick. I'm trying to help you, for crying out loud. America, if I didn't care about you, why would I bring this up? I wouldn't care.
Now, some pretty powerful statements from Phil Robertson there at the CPAC conference. Play a little bit more here, too. You heard a little bit there in the last one about his love for you and doesn't contingent on how you feel about him. Here's one where he's saying that he never hears people say, I love you. And you don't in society. There's a lot of hate. There's a lot of anger. Actually, this is a video about somebody else talking about it. Never mind. That's I don't want to play the full speech. It's almost 45 minutes, so let's see if there's any other clips. No. It's all the full speech for the rest of it, so we won't play that. We'll move on to something else here. Move on. A lot of interesting things, though, coming out of the CPAC conference. A lot of anti-Jeb Bush, which is good to see. Again, I don't want to see another Bush versus Clinton. We've seen it too many times over the last 24 years. We've been down that road. We don't need another Bush. We don't need another Clinton. I'm not really seeing anything there to watch either. Oh, we finally got a Kit Daniels article coming out. Obama brags about power grab while Americans debate the color of a dress. More Americans are concerned about the color of a dress, which went viral, than they are about the internet takeover. While the Obama administration celebrates its latest power grab, the federal takeover of the internet and the ATS unlawful ammo ban, Americans are debating the color of a woman's dress once it went viral over social media. Don't worry, if you're interested in what color is the dress, I'm sure under net neutrality, that'll still be approved speech. That'll still be what you should talk about. On Thursday, the Federal Communications Commission voted to declare the internet a public utility, opening the door for feds to regulate online speech, and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms announced its plan to illegally ban M855 AR-15 ammunition. And Americans are outraged because they couldn't decide if a dress posted on Tumblr was black and blue, or white and gold. This is very important, guys. Allison Lynch for Metro wrote, "Are you team black and blue or team white and gold? You need to pick a side." Kimmy, Justin Bieber, and Taylor Swift already have. Oh, well, if Kim, Justin Bieber, and Taylor Swift to pick the side, we all need to pick a side. Right there should make you run the opposite direction. News tracking website Viral News Chart revealed that at the time of this writing, the top 2 political news articles in the past 12 hours were both about the dress, while the ammo ban coming in third. MSNBC and can't tell the other one. It looks like some other leftist site. I'm not sure, but that's in French. So it's MSNBC had what colors dress, the debate rages on. Then there's a French one with hashtag the dress. Can't really read the French wording there. And then Fox News had its top story as ATF pushes bullet ban. This dress color war is a perfect way to end a wonderful day on the internet, The Verge reported Thursday, the day ObamaNet was born. Obama administration's takeover of the internet is particularly concerning because the FCC consulted with self-described socialist activists to develop its net neutrality program, which was largely funded by billionaire George Soros, the Nazi collaborator who is also responsible for the current war in Ukraine, and whose pro-U.S. Russian supporter actually was just found dead outside the Kremlin. Folks, you don't mess with Putin. You don't mess with Putin. I'm not condoning him. I'm not celebrating him. I'm just saying he's a real man. If Putin says he's going to do something, he's going to do it. He's not a sniveling little coward, scumbag, whiny piece of trash like Obama. We need to do whatever we can to limit capitalist propaganda, regulate it, minimize it, and perhaps even eliminate it, wrote Dr. Robert McChesney of the University of Illinois, whose work influenced the FCC. The fight against hyper-commercialism becomes especially pronounced in the era of digital communication. Equally concerning is the ATS attempt to ban the AR-15 ammunition by declaring it armor-piercing because, according to federal law, a bullet classified as armor-piercing must have an entirely metal core or have a jacket weighing more than 25% of its weight, which wouldn't include the rounds because their bullets are partially lead. While M855 has carried the exemption from the 1986 prohibition on manufacture, importation, and sale, but not possession of armor-piercing rounds, it's clear from the definition that it should have never needed to be exempted, Brian Black of itstactical.com revealed. But while federal agencies publicly disregard the law, Americans are only concerned with trivial things which have no lasting effect on their lives. What do you mean it's no lasting effects? Is the dress blue and gold, or is it black and blue or gold and white? We can't tell. But it would look good on Dancing with the Stars. That's all that matters. Go back to bed, America, as Bill Hicks said. Go back to bed, America. Your government is in control. Here, watch SportsCenter and get fat and stupid. I changed it up the other night when I did the Bill Hicks bit at the last Saturday night at the Bamboozled show at Tin Roof. Had a lot of fun, but I did change that one up. When it was watch Love Connection and get fat and stupid, I changed it to watch SportsCenter and get fat and stupid. I think that was a better deal. Here we go. This is a good one to see in Poland. Leave it to the Poles. And leave it to Europe, really, because in America, we're too blinded by a dress. But in Poland, the largest farmer uprising ever has occurred as convoys of tractors took to the roads recently to protest GMO infiltration and land grabs by biotech and big ag corporations. More than 150 farmers blocked roadways and held numerous demonstrations in order to bring attention to the important rise of food sovereignty in Poland. Their focus is a ban on GMOs and restoration of small farmers' rights after decades of oppressive health and safety regulations which take rights away from small farmers and give them to monocropping, poisoning big ag meta companies. The farmers have been stalwart, refusing to call off their demonstrations until their demands are met. Rallies and demonstrations have littered the country in over 50 locations. Hundreds are picketing government offices in addition to the road blockades. The largest organized farmers' protest the country has ever likely seen. The farmers are demanding that the legislators protect the small farmer from exploitation by monopolizing companies that refuse to sell off their country's land to these behemoths. As the farmers pointed out, once the land is sold, the big ag model can't be stopped. The land is forever lost. That's what it's all about. It's all about taking the land. They've already bought up most of the important land. It's already owned and controlled. Ted Turner owns most of the country. There are 4 simple key demands the farmers would like to be heard. Regulation of land grabs by primarily Western companies, translation biotech and big ag to prevent small farmers from losing their livelihood, the legalization of direct sale of produce and other foods from farms to the people. Look, people around the world, this isn't an American thing. This isn't a European thing. This isn't an Asian thing. This is an Australian thing. This is a worldwide trend that we've got. Granted, it's not a Twitter trend, so nobody cares. It's not a stupid dress, but this is a worldwide trend we're seeing where people want farm to table. People want to know where their food's coming from now. People are tired of eating silly putty and yoga mats and chemicals that are found in breast implants and their McNuggets. Legalization of direct sale of produce and other foods from farms to the people. This cuts out the middleman and allows the higher quality produce of many farms to reach its customers directly. Poland has some of the most extreme policies of all of Europe in this regard, making it nearly impossible for small farmers to compete with the big food companies who are notorious for selling us fake and highly processed food. And the last thing they want is to change the inheritance laws so that families can rightly leave land under lease to their heirs. That was number 3. And the fourth one is just plain and simple in all capital letters with an exclamation point: ban the cultivation of genetically modified organisms. One farmer stated, "We demand the introduction of legislation that will protect Polish land from exploitation by foreign capital. Agricultural land cannot be sold to commercial companies as part of Polish territory. Once sold, it will be lost." And as I said, there is a trend, not a Twitter trend, but a real trend, where McDonald's and Monsanto are both losing money fast. It's Anthony Gutierrez coming out of Natural Society. In a series of headlines that would pass virtually unbelievable several years ago, mainstream economists are sounding alarm over financial decline of both fast food giant McDonald's and biotech juggernaut Monsanto. CNN asks, is McDonald's doomed? Business Insider declares that McDonald's is losing America as the company fires its own CEO. What's happening? As it turns out, the world is starting to ask what they are truly eating in their food. And the new conglomerate of natural grocers and restaurants are trailblazing the way into an entirely new economic environment. In other words, people are simply tired of shoveling garbage into their bodies, and they're not going to put up with it anymore. Well, garbage in, garbage out. Here's just a few of the ingredients you can find in many fast food meals. Chemical known for its use in silicone breast implants, silly putty, and also chicken nuggets. Diamoxicillin. Propene glycol, a laxative chemical and electronic cigarette filter that even e-cigarette companies are beginning to phase out. Azidicarbonamide, a chemical made from the injection of foam plastics like yoga mats. Are you surprised to find that many are turning away from fast food leaders like McDonald's? Nations around the world are already rejecting the ensemble of artificial ingredients included in many of the staple McDonald's meal options. Back in 2013, their attempts to expand operations into Bolivia were completely shut down by the reality that Bolivian citizens were not willing to purchase their fast food creations. They've ran McDonald's out of Bolivia. We talked about that before. They're absolutely trying to become relevant again in the U.S. as natural food giants like Whole Foods were able to offer a medley of organic-based options for the same price of a Happy Meal with extra fries. Even CNN Money admits that with public knowledge expanding over these meal options, McDonald's is fighting to stay relevant. Paul R. LaMonica writes for CNN Money column, Are the meals no longer as happy for McDonald's customers as they used to be? The fast food giant definitely seems worried. McDonald's reported lackluster quarterly results last week, and company executives used the words relevant, and relevancy a combined 20 times during its conference call with analysts. Translations, the leaders of the Golden Arches are very concerned about whether the company is still relevant. If you look at the expanded growth rates for Mickey D's biggest burger rivals, as well as upstarts in the so-called fast casual restaurant chain industry, I'd be grimacing too. Man, nice little pun there. From Super Bowl commercials to mega marketing campaigns, McDonald's is shoveling cash into their PR machine. Remember the McDonald's Super Bowl commercial where they're giving away meals if you hug people? Let's see if we can find that. Find that one, we'll play here for you. Yeah, the hug commercial. Pay with love. Pay with love.
Hi, welcome to McDonald's. How can I help you?
2 hash browns and a small coffee.
You know what, for your payment today, do you have your cell phone with you?
Yeah.
Dial up your mom, tell her you love her.
Excuse me?
Hey, Mom. Just wanted to let you know that I love you.
Te quiero mucho. How about you just tell me how much it is?
That is how much it is. Boom!
Your payment today will be telling me what you love about your son.
I love his compassion for other people.
The total says that she has to dance right now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That strawberry sundae's waiting on you.
For a strawberry sundae.
You paid with love, and that's all we need.
Your total is one big family hug.
If you really want to get on the love train, how about you stop feeding chemicals that cause cancer? How about you stop feeding crap that's caused diabetes in this country to run wild? How about you actually serve good, healthy, organic ingredients? Don't make somebody hug somebody else in line and do it under the guise of love. Meanwhile, you're poisoning us. You're killing us. Monsanto lost $156 million in the fiscal fourth quarter of 2014. That makes me happy. Monsanto company on Wednesday reported a loss of $156 million in its fiscal fourth quarter. The St. Louis-based company said it had a loss of 31 cents per share. Losses adjusted for non-recurring costs came to about 27 cents per share. The result missed Wall Street's expectations. The average estimate of an analyst surveyed by Zacks Investment Research was a loss of 24 cents per share. So it was actually more loss than what they were projected. They were already projected for a loss, which is good. And again, why burn down Ferguson when you were right there on the doorsteps of Monsanto? Not trying to endorse rioting, but if you want to burn something, if you want to destroy something, you had the perfect opportunity. Crash the gates. Oh, wait, they got Blackwater armed guards there. If we crash the gates at Monsanto, we'll get shot. But Eric Holder's made sure the police won't shoot us back if we're shooting at them and we're burning them and we're shooting at firemen. That's fine. You attack a private company, you're going to get shot. Because we now know who's truly above the law. This news comes as Monsanto continues to spend millions in attempts to stop GMO labeling campaigns around the nation, funding opposition groups, and ensuring that you don't know what's in your food. After all, there's good reason that 96% of Monsanto shareholders absolutely do not want GMO labeling legislation to pass within the U.S. It could hurt business. As information has continued to spread on key issues like the prevalence of toxic substance within fast food meals, the reality behind GMO and their secrecy, there's no doubt that these two companies and many others will experience economic backlash. Will they change in order to meet the new economic shift? That's the last question it leaves you with. And the thing that makes me the maddest about it is you go around the world and you look at what McDonald's serves around the world. And in other countries, they do serve healthy options. Like in the UK, the fries are made from potatoes, oil, and salt. That's it. No other ingredients, no yoga mats, none of the other stuff that they put in the American versions. It's like we played that Food Babe video where she's just trying to get the same cereals served here that are served around the world because we put chemicals in American cereals that we don't put in cereals that go to other countries. Why make different things? Are they not costing them more money to make different for different markets? Why not just make something that's universally good and you can sell around the world? Can we do that? That would be better to me, but got the video. We played it a few weeks ago. We'll play it again here. The General Mills and Kellogg's drop BHT from your cereal like they do in other countries. Let's play that one then real quick, and then we'll play a few other Food Babe articles maybe.
Hi, this is Bonnie Hari from foodbabe.com. Did you know this simple box of Kellogg's Rice Krispies would be illegal to sell in most foreign countries because it doesn't meet food safety regulations? In fact, General Mills has several cereals like Cinnamon Toast Crunch and Golden Grams that would be illegal too. These companies use a very controversial additive called BHT to improve shelf life and increase profits here in the United States. They're not allowed to use it in cereals in other countries because BHT is not proven safe. It's linked to cancer in some animal studies and is an endocrine disruptor and interferes with hormones. This legal loophole has been called one of the worst failures of our food regulatory system by the respected Environmental Working Group. Millions of children are eating this risky additive for the most important meal of the day. Why should Americans needlessly consume a controversial chemical if these companies have already figured out how to make their cereals without it? It's time we demand the same here in the U.S. That's why I'm petitioning Kellogg's and General Mills to completely remove BHT from their cereals. We deserve the same, safer ingredients other countries get. Sign the petition at foodbabe.com/cereal. It's time to dump the BHT.
And again, I beg the question, why are we making different foods that are being sold different places around the world? Why can't we make everything healthy for us? And why is America the one that's not taking the best care? I'll tell you why, because our government has sold us out. They don't care anymore. They want us dead. Saw an interesting comment earlier in one of the comment sections on an article I was looking at about the new Obama Eagle and how it doesn't really look very eagle-licious. It looks more like a phoenix. Create a new word there. It's been a long day. It's a marathon show, folks. This is taking a lot out of me. I'm glad I got some orange juice this morning, took a 5-hour energy, pumped up, ready to go with this. But marathon show, we're hour and 45 minutes through with it. So not too much longer, another hour and 15 or so. We'll bring it home commercial free today, right here on KineticHiFi.com, Spreaker Web Radio. Here's one about let's see. Still trying to find something here. All of these other ones are very, very long. I don't want to play a long video here. So I think we're done with that one for now. But again, why? It's a simple question. Why would we make things different? Wouldn't it be easier? Wouldn't it be more profitable if the countries just made the healthiest option they could to sell worldwide, and then you didn't have to make multiple options for multiple countries around the world? That's my thought. That's the question I'm posing to it. video that just randomly started playing there. CPAC panel on American exceptionalism. Interesting. This is coming out of the CPAC right now. It's a new one off of Breitbart.com. CPAC panel on American exceptionalism. Opportunity for all, favoritism to none. That's the way it should be. However, under this Obama nation we're living in now, it's favoritism for some, opportunity for none. Breitbart News editor-in-chief Alex Marlow moderated a CPAC Strong America, protecting opportunity for all panel that focused on the aspects that will ensure the United States remains the leading superpower into the 21st century. Are we the leading superpower? It's a question I think that needs to be asked. I'm not so sure we are anymore. We're definitely not the leading moral superpower in the world. We don't have a moral high ground. Marlow explained in his opening statement that America needs strong ideas to put the country on the right course. The panelists focused on how good ideas will make the United States not just a strong country, but a just one as well. Former South Carolina Senator Jim DeMint of the Heritage Foundation led off and spoke about the need for Americans to be virtuous. He said that the United States was built on the idea of opportunity for all, favoritism to none, and explained how cronyism in government between big business and big government is undermining that idea. The enemy is up here behind closed doors handing out favorites, Jim DeMint said, noting that those who are locked out of the system and truly believe in free enterprise deserve a party in Washington. Exactly. We need a free get the government out party. We need a party that sole purpose is to get the government doing what constitutionally they're supposed to do. Basically running a post office and making sure that the states don't have disputes between them. Any state dispute will be handled by the government. But wait, we had one of Eric Holder's heroes, one of his personal heroes, that destroyed the idea of state sovereignty, that destroyed the idea that conflicts from the state should be regulated by the government. Instead, a strong federal government needs to come in and regulate the states. Weak power for the states, strong power for the federal government. And of course, I'm talking about Abraham, I suspended the habeas corpus, Lincoln. But he freed the slaves. He did so much good. He also destroyed the Constitution, set himself up as the first American dictator, imposed his will. What did John Wilkes Booth supposedly yell when he shot Lincoln? Sic semper tyrannis. Death to the tyrants. DeMint also spoke about how everything begins with the character of the people in the country. Again, it goes back to King. Judge people not by their skin color, but by their character. Well, that's what I'm doing, and your character sucks. Plain and simple. Your character sucks. Trayvon Martin's character sucked. He violently attacked a man and paid the price for it. Michael Brown's character sucks. He robbed a convenience store and then attacked a police officer and died for it. It's not their skin color that Eric Holder wants to hide behind being the reason for their death. It's the fact that they violently attacked other human beings. Where was the love there? Everything begins with the character of the people in this country, and that traditional social institutions such as marriage are vital to creating a strong, stable society. On top of this, DeMint says America's young people need a better education than the government-run system, and it has had its chances in the last 40 years or more. The way the government-run system is fixed is through school choice programs like charter schools and vouchers to attend private schools, according to DeMint. We see what's working. The data is in. Education choices do not hurt the poor. But they'll hide behind that. They'll say, well, people choose to go to schools that are of lower class to be with their friends. Well, then you hold them accountable for it. Then you get rid of a welfare system that coddles them from cradle to grave, that allows them to not make anything, to be worthless lumps of crap in society. Arthur Brooks of the American Enterprise Institute spoke about the fundamental strengths of the free enterprise system. and how it leads to a national economic strength. However, more importantly, it is the moral and greatest system for lifting people out of poverty. I got into a discussion the other day with another libertarian about truly the ideas of business. And for as much negativity as we get into on the show here, I do really try to be positive, and I try to think the best out of people. And we were talking about Ayn Rand, who I'm a huge fan of. I've read Atlas Shrugged numerous times. I've read The Fountainhead numerous times. I absolutely love Anthem. It's one of my favorite books. But we were talking about Ayn Rand's Capitalist and her creations that she made, how it was noble, and they would do the right things. I think of Hank Rearden. I think of, in particular, Hank Rearden, because let's say Rearden steel didn't work. Rearden metal was dangerous. Sure, the test that the government ran that didn't want him to produce it, they tried to falsify the data and say it was dangerous, but when it was actually put to the test, it made a great lightweight bridge that did not collapse. The rails didn't break. It was stronger, lighter, and better than the steel. Now, if Rearden's own data had shown it to be weak, brittle, and dangerous, he wouldn't have went forward with it. And it goes back to this narrative that I've been pushing since we got on the air almost 3 years ago now of Spider-Man capitalism. Spider-Man capitalism. With great power comes great responsibility. And you used to see that out of the business leaders. But then somewhere along the lines of the Industrial Revolution, profits became better than protecting. Profits became more important than your fellow human being. And now we've got evil, satanic corporations. Look at who these corporations bow to, particularly the record industry. We've talked many, many times about the Temple Room, where they take the master tapes and they invoke demons into them. But most of your other countries also are very, very satanic in nature. And this is something I mentioned earlier, but the laws that are out there, the way that we're being written now, we are in a society where it is about criminalizing the innocent and making the criminals heroes. Got a video here. The laws are written to make the common man a criminal. We'll play this. Takes a good bit into the next hour, so play this, get it started up, and then we'll be back to talk about it.
Alan in Chicago, you're on the air talking about black sites. Go ahead.
Yeah, Alex, born and raised in Chicago, 50 years old. You know, the whole gangster mentality, Al Capone and everything. I know Chicago's no worse than any other big city, but if this does not open the eyes.
And we're going to talk about the black sites in Chicago, the camps to torture and terrorize American citizens. We're going to talk about that when we get back. Continue playing the video here.
Backyard, Rahm Emanuel's backyard. We just had a mayoral election that's going to go to a runoff. If these people didn't know about it, or there should be an investigation, and all of America ought to be down with Joe Biggs tomorrow for this, because this is the watershed moment. If we have black sites in America, in the president's hometown, in his chief of staff, now mayor's hometown, it's over, Alex. If you can start taking people, citizens off the street, and putting them into this, all our civil rights. I know the guns, net neutrality, forced vaccines is an issue. If you can start just taking people off and dumping them in and they disappear, this is now vindication of what you mentioned about all the NDAA action. This is an NDAA site, period.
The London Guardian's proven it, the lawyers have, and the department now admits they kept it secret. Let me quantify this. Bloomberg lost in federal and state court that the police were frisking upwards of 300,000, 400,000 people a year. It varied, without probable cause, without a warrant, without even detaining them. They would just randomly search folks. And I get there's a lot of scum and a lot of criminals in New York City, but still, you start doing that, you're living in North Korea. It always goes bad. It's unconstitutional. How about the prisons actually hold the violent offenders instead of releasing them? That's the answer. And release the nonviolent. But no, they have actuaries where they release, the statistics are there, you can look them up, they release the violence quicker than the nonviolence because the nonviolence are easier, they work in prison industries, they want the violence, the social engineers, not the cops. The social engineers want the violence out on the street, and they don't want us to have guns to blow them away. But all the major cop unions, that's why I support the police at many levels, 97% of police, 98% in national polls, again, you can look them up, support the Second Amendment. Cops know good citizens having guns lowers crime. Criminals are going to have them anyways. But, again, they don't want citizens armed. They don't want citizens to have rights. This is what they want. That's why places like Chicago, as you said, have high crime rates, but they're localized to certain high crime areas. I know Chicago has moderate crime rates in many areas, but it's off the charts because of South Chicago and other areas. But looking at this, New York was up in arms, and rightfully so, over stop and frisk without warrants or probable cause. This is where they grab you, disappear you for up to 2 days. People have died in there, and then they take you and bring you in and charge you or bring you before a magistrate days later. I mean, this is total tyranny. And if they get away with this, and you better believe it's going on all over the country. I bet money New York's got these because they had them before. I bet money LA's got them. I bet money that places like Detroit have this. I bet money Miami has this. I bet money. And I bet money Houston has this. I mean, I'm naming departments that are really, really dangerous. And again, I'm not saying all the police in Houston are bad, but I mean, those are scary cops too. I mean, you know, they got like CIA squads in there, everything. They execute people on the street. I've seen it on a helicopter feed. They pull over a CIA section chief. The guy gets out and the cop kills him. I mean, that was under orders. I mean, it is creepy. Control of this right now. God bless you, Alan. Appreciate your points. Hope you're out at the protest tomorrow. John in Texas, you're on the air.
Hey, Alex.
Hey, brother.
You know those, according to the NRA website, they're the ATF's not only trying to ban the AR-15 ammo, but you know those arm braces that you could attach to an AR-15 pistol or an AK pistol has been for sale for a couple of years now?
Yes.
Well, the ATF has reclassified those as an NFA weapon. They went back in their word. And now anybody has one of those braces, and if they don't register it, they're going to be a convicted felon and go to prison for 10 years.
Yeah, they're now saying they're class 3, like a silencer, a suppressor, or a full auto, which are all basically pointless. But yes, this is how they did it in California, passes gun laws, and then people don't know about the regulations, and they SWAT team like old men and stuff. In fact, that was the Bloomberg headline last year, was gun confiscation begins in California. And yes, and Obama says he's planning, quote, scores of regulatory things he can do. So first it'll be 223, high grain. Then it'll be the braces. Then it'll be, I mean, they're coming for us, folks. They are coming. They are coming. And then the average person won't read all these retroactive regulations that aren't even laws, and then you will get an ATF or local ATF police, because they have sheriff's departments and others going under ATF. You'll get a SWAT team raid with guys stacked up in your house at 3 a.m., and undoubtedly it'll be some old insurance salesman, this has happened a bunch, who thinks criminals are breaking in, because why would he have people breaking in? He didn't do anything wrong. And they'll gun him down in his house and say he went for a gun. I mean, this is going to be a nightmare. What do you say?
Alex, I predict the next thing they're going to go after is the slide fire stock.
Oh, yeah.
They equate pump fire with machine gun fire. They can restrict all semi-automatics in the country.
That's why we need to roll back the laws and let everybody have full auto. And, folks, full auto is nothing. Full auto is almost worthless. The military, unless it's a heavy gun on a helicopter or a tank or a machine gun nest, nobody uses full auto. It's hard to control the fire. I mean, I hope if somebody comes to rob me, they're shooting at me with full auto. I mean, it is just pointless to have full auto. Full auto is when you're in a World War II situation and floods of troops, or World War I or Korea are flooding your position. Then you're just firing at the level of their chest to take them out. No one commits crimes with full auto. The people that go get the ATF stamp to get it, you literally never hear about crimes with people that have registered guns. It's because criminals aren't going to do it anyways. And so this claim of restricting ammo and stuff is meant to set the precedent that outside of law, the ATF can ban whatever they want. Go ahead.
I just think they need to get rid of the ATF, Alex. They keep saying, yeah, you can put this on the market. They wait 2 years. We changed our mind. People put thousands of dollars into putting this stuff on the market, and all of a sudden everybody's criminals now.
It's designed to catch law-abiding citizens. It's like the IRS. Money Magazine, Forbes, they've all done it. I think Forbes had 50 CPAs do it, and Money, it was 30 CPAs or vice versa. And all 30 CPAs came up with a different answer on a tax return. You can call the IRS now. They said this last year. And they will not give you advice on Obamacare or filing your taxes. They will not tell you how to file it correctly because they want to throw you in jail selectively. There's no way to comply, and it's unconstitutional, and it's a collection agency for the private stinking enemy, the Federal Reserve. Thanks for the call. Ronnie in Illinois are up next, then Logan, then Lord Rothschild, Andrew, and others. I'm Alex Jones, broadcasting from the Infowars.com studios in Austin, Texas. It's actually easier to talk with that big broadcaster voice right now than to talk normal with my normal talk because I had that wisdom tooth worked on. It's kind of swollen in my gums and my cheeks, so having a little bit of fun here. We'll be right back. Stay with us. All right, I'm going to do this segment, one more of Overdrive, to get to all these great callers. Very briefly, we will sell out of Super Male Vitality. It'll be 2 to 4 weeks before we get more. Here's the good news. We probably have 4 or 5 days left. It'll sell out today of Super Female Vitality. It's Super Male Vitality, but it has one more ingredient. And I asked Anthony to give me the scientific name. It's on the back of the bottle, but I always say it wrong, and I don't want to say the colloquial name for it. It's something goatweed, but it's really concentrated and very powerful. Stamina, energy is what I've had, libido, you name it, and it's all natural. It's all good stuff. That's going to sell out. We're not selling out, but we're close to it on another special that's ending in a day anyways, and that is the Herbal Defense, Ancient Defense Herbal Immunity Booster Complex. That's absolutely free when you get it with 2 bottles of Survival Shield X2. So stock up on that and get a free bottle of Ancient Defense at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139. And the bad news is, I don't know why we didn't order earlier, but I'm not mad. It's just the way it is. We're not going to have probably any Super Female Vitality for 6 weeks. So Super Male's about to sell out. Super Female's about to sell out. Drat, double drat. It's the best of time, worst of time. Get your Super Male or Super Female right now if you want to get it. It will be gone. Super Male by today. Super Female by probably the end of the weekend or maybe Monday. InfoWarsLife.com. Bunch of other great products there as well, like DNA Force. Check it out. Ronnie in Illinois, then Logan and others. Ronnie, thanks for calling.
Yeah, I just, you keep saying they're going to force us to take vaccines, but they've already defeated themselves on that because of Roe v. Wade. Roe v. Wade says that a woman has a right to decide what goes in her body or stays in her body.
I agree. We can actually use that argument against them that we have the power of choice. Plus, they admit the liability of it. So what they're doing is trying to bully us into it, saying we can't fly or my kids can't be in an exercise camp in Austin because they haven't been vaccinated. Now I have to threaten to sue the place, show them the law. Absolutely. Go ahead.
The 62-grain green tip is designed to be a penetrator, but there's a whole lot of stuff out there that penetrates a lot better than that stuff does.
Exactly, and then they'll say ban that. It's all about a power grab.
Yeah, your 50 BMG is going to out-penetrate anything else. And the last thing I want to disagree with you about is that I've been listening to you for about 17 or 18 years, and I've heard you play everything from Underdog to Megadeth, but I've never heard you play the one song that you should be playing all the time, and that's God and Guns by Leonard Skinner.
I love Leonard Skinner. I love Smashing Pumpkins and never play any of it because I only every few months go, here, put this song or that song. I'm going to get Smashing Pumpkins. I'm going to get Leonard Skinner. I love Leonard Skinner. I mean, we should have Freebird on here. I mean, what are we thinking? Brother, I hear you. What else you want?
God and Guns especially. And one last thing, I've tried to call 3 or 4 times to order the Super Male Vitality, but every time I have to listen to the disclaimer, and I hear a female recording come on to tell me that they're going to put me through to make my order, and then it shuts off. It hangs up on me.
When you call 888-253-3139, that happens?
Right. It transferred me to the, I push the 1 to the order line and all that, and then I hear a male voice giving the disclaimer, and then I hear a female recording saying, we're going to put you through to place your order or whatever, and then just almost immediately after that.
Well, sir, give us your name and number. I'm going to call you right after the show. We're going to figure that out. Really appreciate that information, sir. Who knows? I'm going to stay there. Don't hang up. And, boy, you were listening 17 years ago. When I was playing Underdog, that was when I was doing the syndicated show out of 98.9 FM, and I was doing it over a phone line to the satellite, and the station didn't believe I was syndicated. They said, oh, yeah, you can be syndicated, and laughed at me. And I was on like 20 stations on a phone line. And then all of a sudden, Jay Leno talked about me, and they're like, you really are syndicated? Hold on, we're going to come back and take more calls. Ronnie, I'm going to get your info right now. I'm going to find out what's going on.
And as you heard mentioned there, he was talking about the detention centers that have sprung up, and really there's a big protest today going on in Chicago about one. The hidden truth about America's black sites out there. Chicago Police Department's secret CIA-style black site used to unlawfully detain, torture, and harass citizens. Of course, with the NDAA, they don't need to release you to release you after any time. They can hold you indefinitely. They can torture you. It's all under the NDAA. Here's a video again. The hidden truth of America's black site epidemic exposed.
Joe Biggs with Infowars.com. Now, we just landed in Chicago. We are about to approach the Hammond site. This is the site where the Chicago PD has their black site, where they are illegally detaining American citizens, throwing them inside this warehouse, and essentially torturing them. Some have been killed. I mean, this is out of control, and this is happening in the heart of America. As you can see just ahead of me, we're approaching this building. This is the first time I've seen it, and this is a big, big warehouse. There's a lot of traffic, people coming in and out. Looks like there's a gate guard down here, fenced around the place. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to try to find a parking spot. We're going to get out. We have to go on the Alex Jones Show. We're going to call in and, tell them about what we've seen so far. We're going to walk around, look at some different stuff, and just talk about what we know so far with this case. The fact that, like we said before, they're illegally detaining American citizens, holding them there, beating them there, torturing them, not giving them their rights as far as being able to call a lawyer, make phone calls. Essentially, like we've said before, this is kind of like a domestic Guantanamo here right in the heart of America. So this is something we're going to investigate, continue watching for reports, because we're going to be over here for the next course of 5 days trying to dig, find information, expose the tyranny happening here in Chicago, because if it's happening in Chicago, by God, it's probably happening in many other cities as well, like Detroit, LA. Places like this have to exist in other areas, and all we've done is just scratch the surface.
The Guardian has reported that they hold people up to 2 days, and people have died in there. I mean, imagine just being taken to a secret facility. Here we are. It says, attention, no trespassing. Any unauthorized persons found in home square property are subject to arrest.
We've heard, based off many articles that have been out in the Guardian and all this, that this place is...
Put the mic up to the,
well, can you have them
up to the hole.
So why are you guys acting so secretive about this place?
We're not acting secretive.
But why can't you just answer a few questions?
I'm allowed to answer those questions.
But why not, though? If there's nothing going on.
Sir, I have nothing to say.
So, but you guys at least admit, though, that you guys illegally detain people here and hold them without reading them their rights.
I said, if you have a question, ask you, sir.
So he's refusing to talk to us, and he says that we have to go to a public affairs office, which is not even around this area, which is blocks and blocks away. Do what now?
You have to exit our property.
What's going on here?
You have to exit the property.
Well, I just can I ask what's going on?
You have to go back to Holman,
All right,
where
Chris.
it's public property.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
You're gonna have to go back to Holman,
Well, no, we are.
like right now.
We'll walk right up here to the street.
You're gonna have to go all the way to Holman,
Okay,
like
yeah.
right now.
What's your name?
You're gonna have to go all the way to Holman. I'm Sergeant Patrina Wines.
Sergeant
You have to
Patrina
go all
Wines?
the way back to Holman,
Okay.
right now.
Okay, we will.
Right now.
We are.
Now.
Do you guys agree with torturing people and holding them without due process?
Holman Street, public property right now.
Can you show us where the sites are where you guys hold people illegally? Wow, so as you can see, we just got out to investigate. We walk up, we go and try and talk to the guy at the gate. He won't talk to us. He's trying to send us on this wild goose chase to go meet with a public offender. I'm asking him, are you aware, sir, of what's going on here at this facility? Do you know that they're illegally taking people, holding them hostage, shackling them to benches, beating them? Someone's died there. I mean, this is out of control, and he's looking at me like I'm out of my mind. You know? So then they send some lady down, a police officer who's in charge or whatever, telling us we have to get off their property. We're clearly standing on a public sidewalk, and she's just harassing us, telling us to get out of there. You need to leave, you need to leave, you need to leave. But this is a bank sidewalk. This is a bank. Do you work for this bank? Do you work for this bank?
Sir.
This is a bank, though. That's their property. It says Liberty Bank.
Right now.
Okay, but I'm about to. You guys are all thugs. So then we're like, all right, whatever. So we walk across the street into this bank parking lot, and for no reason, I mean, it blows my mind, this guy decides to just drive up and tell us, hey, I'm undercover. You can't film me. Like, first of all, we weren't even filming you. You drove in front of our shot live on TV, on the radio, to tell us that you're an undercover cop and that if that footage gets out, you're going to get killed. I mean, why would you do that?
Sorry to interrupt.
What's up?
Hey, it's an undercover car. Would you mind erasing just the part where I drove through, just so I don't get killed when they find out my license plate?
Yeah.
We have a lot of undercovers.
You're live right now, so this is on live TV.
Great. We have a lot of undercovers coming out here.
Okay.
Would you just be mindful of that and be safe, please?
Yep.
Would you mind taking that off? I'm undercover. Thank you very much.
There's something going on there shady. This is this is out there. And then he kind of like, you know what, you guys just be safe now. Be safe, you know. Once I told him that the show was live, he's like, oh, just be safe then, okay? So we get back in the car, Josh and I, and we drive back up the road a little ways to park and get out and shoot a YouTube report to get out. And then next thing you know, two police vehicles, two Tahoes, drive in and block us in from the rear. As we're out there filming, they wait on us to film, and as soon as I walk back to the driver's side door to get in our vehicle, the guy comes up and goes, oh, where are you guys from? You guys out here reporting on a story or something? There's a story going on? Yeah, there's a story going on. There's a whole freaking building of people out there acting like tyrants, holding people hostage. Yeah, we're out here doing a report because that's something that Americans need to be aware of. It's disgusting. But what we're going to do, we're going to be here for 5 days. We're going to continue bringing you reports, updates as they happen. We're going to try to do investigations as to whether or not there's possibly any other places like that around here. We're going to do interviews with people. Hopefully we can get to the bottom of this, because what we've done, we've scratched the surface. The Guardian had this whistleblower contact him about what's going on there, and we're going to get out here. We're going to dig deeper into what's going on. We're going to get in their faces and get answers, because that's what we do. So stay tuned for more reports. I'm Joe Biggs with Infowars.com.
And that is definitely crazy, what we saw there with that. And as he mentioned, The Guardian was really the first to report this, and I'm trying to find the article for it now, but they were the first to really report this. I'm trying to find it right now. UK urged to admit the CIA used Island as a secret black site. That was from last year. Here we go. Chicago detained police at abuse-laden black site. This is out of the Guardian.com. Secret interrogation facility reveals aspects of war on terror in the U.S. They disappeared us, protester tells details of 17-hour shackling without basic rights. Account described police brutality, missing 15-year-old and one man's death. And again, they're not using this for the Chicago criminals. And I'm not even talking about the Chicago government criminals. They're not using this for the South Side Chicago gunning each other down where 50 people a weekend die. They're using this for conservatives, Christians, libertarians, gun owners, returning veterans. Chicago Police Department operates an off-the-books interrogation compound, rendering Americans unable to be found by family or attorneys while locked inside what lawyers say is the domestic equivalent of a CIA black site. The facility, a nondescript warehouse on Chicago's west side, known as Holman Square, has long been the scene of secretive work by special police units. Interviews with local attorneys and one protester who spent the better part of a day shackled in Holman Square described the operations that deny basic constitutional rights. Again, under the NDAA, you have no constitutional rights. You are a terrorist. Conservative, Christian, libertarian, gun owner, you are a terrorist. It's the thing they want to get across to you, is that you are a terrorist. So, can't believe that, but alleged police practices at Holman Square, including those familiar with the facility who spoke to The Guardian after it's investigated into Chicago police abuse, include keeping arrestees out of official booking databases, beating by police resulting in head wounds, shackling for prolonged periods, denying attorneys access to the secure facility, holding people without legal counsel for between 12 to 24 hours, including people as young as 15 years old. And at least one man was found unresponsive in Holman Square interview room and later pronounced dead. Got a video here from The Guardian we'll play for you.
This old warehouse on Chicago's west side is not a typical police facility. It's called Holman Square. Lawyers and criminologists describe it as Chicago's equivalent of a CIA black site.
When you go in, nobody knows what happened to you. It's almost like they throw a black bag over your head and make you disappear for a day or two. And just, they're interrogation facilities.
In May 2012, Brian Jacob Church traveled to Chicago to protest the NATO summit. Police arrested him on suspicion of terrorism charges, but no one knew where he was taken.
When they first arrested us, they took us to this building. We were never booked or we were never processed. I was in Holman Square for about 17 hours, handcuffed to the bench before I was actually finally allowed to see an attorney.
The right to remain silent is fundamental in criminal justice. So is access to a lawyer. At Holman Square, Church says you get neither. With his lawyers unable even to find him, no one could enforce his rights.
I had essentially figured, all right, well, they disappeared us, and so we're probably never going to see the light of day again.
Holman Square isn't obviously a police facility, but there are cop vehicles parked outside. Anti-gang, anti-vice, and other special units operate inside, where the public is barred from seeing what goes on.
So essentially, the bench was about this wide, and at the back, it had a bar that came across like this. They wouldn't unhandcuff us to sleep. So when I slept with like my hand cuffed to the bar, and I was kind of slept like this. All of our ankles were handcuffed together as well. I asked them to make a phone call. I asked, to talk to my lawyers. And again, they pointed at the phone number and was like, "Oh, you're not getting any phone calls from here." And they're like, "Just tell us what we want to know and you can go home."
Lawyers eventually found Church through a tip-off from Chicago politicos. After approximately 20 hours inside Holman Square, he was taken to an actual police precinct.
Holman Square is definitely an unusual place. It brings to mind the interrogation facilities that they use in the Middle East. That's essentially what what this place, Holman Square, is. It's a domestic black site.
It's basically a domestic black site. Oh, and by the way, Brian Jacob Church, the guy interviewed here, and his co-defendants were all found not guilty of all the terrorism-related charges. He is currently on parole after serving 2.5 years in prison, and including time served pre-conviction for possessing an incendiary device and misdemeanor mob action charge. Goes on to say. And if they're disappearing people to black sites like this, we've been telling you for months now that they're disappearing people to, that they're disappearing Ebola patients. We've got new reports coming out of Virginia about that. Well, let me look it up here with a quick Google search. But yeah, there was a new story that came out this week about doctors disappearing suspected Ebola patients in Virginia. Get this one pulled up right here. Yeah, I got it right here. Doctors, feds disappearing suspected Ebola patients across the U.S. Actually, this one's back from in October when we talked about that, when they were doing it there. And hospital workers threatened for firing for using the word Ebola. Suspected Ebola patient witnessed bleeding out of all his orifices, and they said it wasn't Ebola. We've had all of those. Oh, it's not really Ebola. You just think it's Ebola. It's not really. Let me try another search for that. Yeah, all these are going back to October. Where's the new one? I gotta find the newest one. Alright. Yeah. I'm having trouble finding the new story from this week. I might have already taken it down. But yeah, there's been cases all the way dating back to October, dating back through last year with the Ebola cases where they're being disappeared. They're getting rid of them. Getting rid of people that have Ebola, and they're just dropping off. And then we've talked about all the cases where it was suspected Ebola, and they come out and say, oh, it's not really Ebola, don't worry. So yeah, they're disappearing people for terrorism, they're disappearing people for Ebola, disappearing people for being conservatives, Christians, libertarians, gun owners, returning veterans. And that's just what we have to face now, thanks again to the takeover of our nation by tyrants. There's no other way to say it. They're tyrants. So. We've got mysterious sudden death of mother son also raises concerns for virus. Doctors don't know what killed this Missouri mother and son. St. Peters, Missouri. Mysterious sudden death of a mother and her adult son are raising concerns of possibly dangerous virus. Zach Smith, 19, and his mother Rhonda Smith, 48, both of St. Peters, died within 4 days of each other after seemingly being in perfect health. The St. Charles County Health Department has been meeting with infectious disease doctors since Rhonda Smith's death early Thursday morning at Barnes St. Peters Hospital. Physicians at the hospital were at a complete loss as to explain why Smith and her son's health declined so rapidly and what caused their deaths. They checked him in. They thought he had pneumonia in a very short period of time. Within an hour or two, they came back and told us his health was declining dramatically, said Scott Dyer, a relative of the mother and son. Zach Smith went to St. Joseph's Health Center Friday after feeling flu-like symptoms. Over the next 2 days, Smith developed infections. His organs shut down. He went into cardiac arrest and died Sunday. The explanation of death was even more to the fact that they felt it was a strand of flu from Africa. Could it be Ebola? It's a flu from Africa. Again, that's coming out of the Las Vegas Review-Journal if you want to check out the article, but very scary with people dying. Donald Trump went on at CPAC to say the U.S. need a president who thinks like a winner. CPAC activists are skeptical of immigration views of GOP lawmakers. Rick Santorum calls for 10,000 ground troops to fight ISIS at CPAC. John Bolton said Hillary Clinton is not fit to be president. Newt Gingrich says foreign money in U.S. is becoming an enormous threat. Rand Paul says Hillary Clinton's disqualified from serving in a higher office. And then they went on to chant President Paul at Rand Paul, excuse me. President Paul, Rand Paul gets standing ovation at CPAC. See if we can play a little bit of this coming out of the Daily Caller. See if we can play a little bit of this video for you. President Paul, Rand gets standing ovation at CPAC. Republican Kentucky Senator Rand Paul earned a standing ovation at the Conservative Political Action Conference Friday with members of the conservative activist crowd chanting President Paul at one point. Your rights are in your DNA, and the government, quite frankly, can get over it, he went on to say. I say that your phone records are yours. I say that phone records of law-abiding citizens are none of their damn business. Hillary's war made us less safe. As Hillary was declaring victory in Libya, Ambassador Stevens was begging for more security. I believe Hillary Clinton's abdication of her responsibility, her refusal to provide adequate defense for Benghazi, her dereliction of duty should forever preclude her from higher office. It's time for Hillary Clinton to permanently retire. Without question, we must now defend ourselves and American interests from this barbarous aberration. But what troubles me is we now must fight against our own weapons. Yeah, we armed them. We armed ISIS. You know, it's like the Bill Hicks bit where he talks about arming the world and then picking a war with them. How we're like Jack Palance and Shane. We're sitting there throwing the gun at the sheep herder's feet. Pick up the gun. But I don't want to, sir. You'll kill me. Pick up the gun. You all saw it. He had a gun. Let me see if I can find that one. Play that real quick. And then we'll go into the CPAC video of Rand Paul. I think I can find that video. So we'll play... let's see. Here we go.
I'm so sick of arming the world and then sending troops over to destroy the fucking arm. Bullies of the world, you know? We're like Jack Palance in the movie Shane. Throwing the pistol at the sheep herder's feet. Pick it up. I don't want to pick it up, mister. You'll shoot me. Mister, I don't want no trouble, huh? I just came downtown here to get some Hard Rock candy for my kids, some gingham for my wife. I don't even know what gingham is, but she goes through about 10 rolls a week of that stuff. I ain't looking for no trouble, mister. Pick up the gun. You all saw him. He had a gun.
You all saw him. He had a gun. I love that bit. It's a great bit. And thanks to everybody that came out last week to support us at Tin Roof with the Bamboozled tribute show we did up there. A lot of great comedians. Pete Schwartz here in Charleston did an amazing Mitch Hedberg that was just spot on. Moe Conway with a Judy Tenuti bit that was great. I think the standout, though, was probably Tim Heckle doing a satirical Jeff Dunham where he just ripped Jeff Dunham to pieces. Great bit there. But and you heard the Bill Hicks bit about arming the world and then fighting it. And as Rand Paul said, he's getting tired of fighting our own weapons with ISIS. Play the CPAC speech here. Let's see. How long is the speech? Looks like the speech is only 20 minutes. We'll go ahead and play it. It'll take us up to almost the top of the show. So, we'll play that and take us up to the end of the show almost. So thank you for joining us on this marathon version of Weekend Sit and Spin. No commercial breaks today. We're at 2 hours and 32 minutes with no commercial breaks. It's been a true test of endurance today. Thank you for joining us, and we're going to go ahead and play Rand Paul's CPAC speech.
Thank you. Thank you. There comes a time in the history of nations when fear and forgetfulness cause a nation to hesitate, to waver, and perhaps even to succumb. When that time comes, those who love liberty must rise to the occasion. Will you, lovers of liberty, will you rise to the occasion? When politicians accept censorship, when politicians accept imprisonment without trial, when politicians accept torture, even of the innocent, as necessary, then lovers of liberty must rise. We must rise and stand with our forefathers who stared down the king. We must rise as free men and women and reclaim our birthright. We must protect and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Our freedom is at risk from a Supreme Court that fails to protect liberty. In the mistake of the century, Justice Roberts affirmed the power of the government to force you to buy insurance. Justice Roberts argued that we must presume Obamacare constitutional. I've got a better idea. Why don't we presume liberty? Just as we are presumed innocent, so too we should be presumed free. President Obama's fundamental promise that if you like your doctor, that you can keep them, was a lie. Obamacare, at its very core, takes away a patient's right to choose. I promise you this, as a doctor, I will take it and make it my mission to heal the nation, reverse the course of Obamacare, and repeal every last bit of it. We must remember that our rights are unlimited, unenumerated, and given to us by God. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. The Ninth Amendment says that those rights not listed are not to be disparaged. You do have a right to privacy. Your rights are who you are. Your rights are what you are. Your rights are in your DNA, and the government can, quite frankly, get over it. To defend our country, we need to gather intelligence on the enemy. But when the intelligence director lies to Congress, how are we to trust them? Are we to trust them to collect and hold every American's phone records? I say that your phone records are yours. I say that the phone records of law-abiding citizens are none of their damn business. From within, our freedom is threatened by debt and by a government that regulates everything that moves. We borrow $1 million a minute. The president says he doesn't know where to cut. How about we start with the $2.4 million they spent on origami condoms? Don't tell me there's no place to cut. Our freedom is also threatened from outside our borders. We must protect ourselves from jihadists without losing who we are as a people in the process. We must think before we act. We should promote stability, not chaos. In the Middle East, one form of tyranny often replaces another. When secular despots are overthrown, chaos ensues and radical Islam grows stronger. Hillary's war in Libya is a perfect example. Hillary's war made us less safe. Libya is less stable, and radical jihadists run amok. They swim in our swimming pool. Hillary's war in Libya allowed thousands of surface-to-air missiles to fall into the hands of radical Islamists. As Hillary was declaring victory in Libya, Ambassador Stevens was pleading for more security. When I asked Secretary Clinton if she read Ambassador Stevens' cables pleading for help, she answered curtly no, as if she had more important things to do. I believe Hillary Clinton's abdication of responsibility, her refusal to provide an adequate defense for Benghazi, her dereliction of duty should forever preclude her from higher office. It's time for Hillary Clinton to permanently retire. In the Middle East, a dangerous and barbaric cult has arisen. ISIS has become a threat to our embassy in Baghdad and our consulate in Erbil. ISIS, though, grew in a safe haven created by arming Islamic rebels in the Syrian civil war. When I voted against arming the Islamic rebels in Syria, I warned that these arms might end up in the hands of jihadists, and that one day we might be forced to go back to fight against our own weapons. Within a year, that prediction came true. Without question, we must now defend ourselves and American interests from this barbarous aberration. But it troubles me that we must now fight against our own weapons. We need a national defense robust enough to defend against all attacks, modern enough to deter all enemies, and nimble enough to defend our vital interests. But we also need a foreign policy that encourages stability, not chaos. At home, conservatives understand that the government is the problem, not the solution. But as conservatives, we should not succumb to the notion that a government inept at home will somehow become successful abroad. That a government that can't even deliver the mail will somehow be able to create nations abroad. Without question, we must be strong. Without question, we must defend ourselves. I envision an America with a national defense unparalleled, undefeatable, and unencumbered by nation building. I envision a national defense that promotes, as Reagan put it, peace through strength. We must realize, though, that we do not project strength by borrowing money from China to send it to Pakistan. It angers me to see mobs burning our flag and chanting "Death to America" in countries that receive our foreign aid. I say it must end. I say not one penny more to these haters of America. At home, our nation needs new ideas and new answers to old problems. Martin Luther King spoke of two Americas, He described them as two starkly different American experiences that exist side by side. In one America, people experience the opportunity of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In the other America, people experience a daily ugliness that dashes hope and leaves only the fatigue of despair. I was born into the America that experiences and believes in opportunity, but my trips to Ferguson and Detroit and Atlanta and Chicago have revealed what I consider to be an undercurrent of unease in our country. Liberal policies have failed our inner cities. Liberal policies have failed our poor communities. Our schools are not equal, and the poverty gap continues to widen. It's time for a new way, a way predicated on opportunity and freedom. Those of us who have enjoyed the American dream must break down the wall that separates us from the other America. The president's answer is to raise taxes again. I believe we should do the opposite. I propose we cut everyone's taxes from the richest to the poorest. In the coming weeks, I will propose the largest tax cut in American history. A tax cut that will leave more money in the paychecks of every worker in America. My tax plan will get the IRS out of your life and out of the way of every job creator in America. My plan will also cut spending and balance the budget in just 5 years. To fix Washington, we can't have business as usual. Often bills are plopped on our desk with only a few hours to review. No one, and I mean no one, is able to read what is in the bill. I propose something truly outrageous. Congress should read every bill. Congress should also live under the laws they pass. I have a constitutional amendment that says Congress shall pass no law that exempts themselves. And finally, if they won't listen, we should limit all their terms and send the career politicians packing. And while we're at it, maybe we ought to limit the terms of out-of-control federal judges as well. We need to return to our founding principles. Stand up for the entire Bill of Rights. Our future can include a road back to prosperity, back to respect at home and abroad. It should include a balanced budget and a simple, fair tax system. It should include a government that protects your rights and your security. It should include a stronger, better, more agile military. It's time for a new way, a new set of ideas, a new leader, one you can trust, one who works for you, and above all, it's time for a new president. Thank you. I believe that America has much greatness left, but we must believe in ourselves, believe in our founding documents, believe in the economic system that creates more stuff for more people than at any time in recorded history. American innovations have changed the world for the better. America is an idea factory, and there are ideas yet to be born. You and your friends create those ideas. You are America's greatest hope, America's dream. Our best days are ahead of us. It is not the desire for wealth that drives us. What drives us is the desire for freedom. The history of man is the history of men and women striving to restrain the power of government and expand the realm of freedom. Will you stand with me? Will you fight for freedom? Will you vote for freedom? Let us rise as one and shout from the top of our lungs for freedom now, for our God-given liberty. Let us stand together to make America once again the leading light for freedom and prosperity for all. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America. Thanks.
Senator?
Thank you. Thank you.
Senator?
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Senator, I'm Charlie Giroux, and I'm actually here standing with Rand to ask you a couple of questions which have come from the audience here in the hall and from others throughout the building. And we're delighted to have you here, and we appreciate the fact that you're taking the time to answer these questions from a live audience. First of all, what do you think Republicans have to do in order to win over libertarians, moderates, and independent voters?
Good answer. Good answer. I think as Republicans, we do a great job defending the Second Amendment. And everybody knows that. It's good. And I'm a great defender of the Second Amendment. But we have to defend the whole Bill of Rights. To defend the Second Amendment, you have to defend the Fourth Amendment. If the government can come in your house willy-nilly without an appropriate or a judicial, a constitutional warrant, then we don't have protection of the Second Amendment. You need the First Amendment to protect the Second Amendment. But if you want to talk about people who haven't been concerned about being a Republican or listening to a Republican, the Fifth, the Sixth, we should have speedy trials in our country. Kalief Browder was a 16-year-old boy accused of a crime. He's from the Bronx. He's an African-American kid from the Bronx. Accused of a crime, he was sent to Rikers. He spent 3 years in Rikers. He was never tried. He tried to commit suicide 4 times. If you ask Kalief Browder, you ask his mom, or you ask anybody that lives around him in the Bronx, whether or not the Bill of Rights is being defended, he lives in that other America that Martin Luther King talked about. If we want to get new people into our party and get libertarians and others who believe in privacy, what we have to do is we have to say to people like Kalief Browder that big government's not only a problem as far as regulations and taxes, big government's a problem with sometimes not giving justice to those who deserve it.
Somebody knew the answer you were going to give, Senator, and they sent us this follow-up question. If you could have just one constitutional amendment, what would it be?
Term limits.
Senator, what is your biggest criticism of Congress right now?
That they're dysfunctional. That even when we agree on things, we can't get anything done. I had a bill last year with the majority leader and couldn't get it done. With the Democrat majority leader, couldn't even get a vote on it. There's a dysfunctionality to the place. We go week after week after week and we don't get things done. One of the biggest problems we have in our country is the debt. We're borrowing $1 million a minute, and the debt continues to grow and grow by leaps and bounds because Congress doesn't do their job. We're supposed to have 12 individual spending bills. We don't. We lump them all together. We lurch from one deadline to the next deadline, and then when it comes, it's like, hurry up. Either the government's going to shut down, or you have to pass all the spending grouped together in one package. So what I've been saying is, why don't we just do our job? Why don't we pass each individual spending bill on its own and control the power of the purse?
Time for one quick one and then a quick follow-up, Senator. How do you respond to some conservatives and Republicans who say you aren't tough enough in your stand on foreign policy?
You know, I think the question of foreign policy is a valid one and a very important one. When I look at government, I think that the most important thing we do at the federal government level is defend our country. Without question, bar none, national defense is a constitutional function. It's the most important function we have. When I look at spending, when I look at what we should spend money on, this or national defense, or this or that or national defense, for me the priority always is national defense. When we get to foreign policy, though, we're not all the same. Not all Republicans are the same on foreign policy. There is a spectrum. On one end, there are people who believe we should never be anywhere outside our borders. On the other end, there are people who believe we should be everywhere all the time. I think really, in the end, what we should do is obey the Constitution. The Constitution says that war, when we go to war, should be declared and should be initiated by Congress.
Final question, Senator. And we appreciate your being with us in the time limits you have kept. Is naturally curly hair the greatest attribute the good Lord could give anyone?
My only comment on that is people keep saying, is that really his hair? Can it be that bad? So one time I was at a rally in Litchfield, Kentucky, and a woman came up to me and she grabbed me by the hair and she said, "Oh, I just wanted to see if it was real or not."
Thank you, Senator.
Thanks, everybody.
And a very, very good speech there from Rand Paul, agreeing with a lot of the things he said there, particularly the part about ISIS with the arming them and fighting our own weapons and breaking down why Hillary Clinton should never hold another public office again. I like the question that he got asked there about the Second Amendment. He goes into why each amendment is so important and how they build off of each other. That's something else that we need to keep in mind and remember. If we lose the Second Amendment, we lose the Fourth Amendment. If we lose the First Amendment, we lose the Fifth Amendment. You know, if we don't have the right to free speech, then we're going to be forced into incriminating ourselves. They tie together. One built off of the other. And there's a reason why the colonies did not ratify the Constitution until the Bill of Rights, until the first 10 amendments were there. Another great speech this morning while we were on the air. The CPAC's rolling on, and this morning got kicked off by Mark Levine, a conservative radio host. Opened with quoting early American patriot Thomas Paine, saying, "These are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink away from the service of his country. But he that stands by it now deserves the love and thanks of man and woman." Speaking directly to the president, Levin went on to say, "Let me say this to you, Mr. Obama. You may have a pen, you may have a phone, no doubt an Obama phone, but we have the Constitution of the United States, and we, not you, own that Constitution. We own this country, and you, Mr. Obama, do not have any legitimate authority to fundamentally transform what does not belong to you." And then on immigration, he went on to say, "We are not a nation of immigrants. We are a nation of citizens. A nation immigrants who become citizens. We are a nation of citizens, and I'm sick and tired of the American citizen being demeaned and treated as a second-class citizen, while anyone who crosses this border is treated as the most virtuous human being on the face of the earth." He went on to close it out by saying, "Kill ISIS." And he also criticized Jeb Bush, saying the only dynasty he liked was Duck Dynasty. A shout out to Phil Robertson's speech earlier in the week there at CPAC. I think it was yesterday, actually. Check out that speech if you haven't seen it. It's a little long. It's about 30 minutes or so, but definitely check it out. Yeah. And that's going to about wrap us up for this marathon show of the Weekend Sit and Spin. It's been a pretty crazy morning here. We've been marathoning it through 3 hours, no commercial breaks. Hopefully by next week we'll have the second computer set up in here. We'll have the commercials and bumpers reloaded, and Nick O'Kelly should be back in studio next Saturday as well to continue on with the Weekend Sit and Spin. Thank you again for joining us. Before we do, we'll run down 6 observations that wrapped up yesterday's CPAC conference. The return of Scott Walker. Governor Scott Walker finished yesterday with a well-received speech, but he returned to CPAC again today for a visit of Citizens United Coffee and a number of other events. His address to the PAC smaller room was largely taken from his speech a day earlier, but he did discuss running for president a bit in more detail. Scott Walker is getting some big publicity after CPAC. Marco Rubio coming out and saying Hillary Clinton is yesterday. So I don't trust Rubio. I don't really like him, but he's attacking Hillary Clinton, so I got to stand behind him on that one. Jeb Bush's CPAC fail. I expanded argument in full piece. Bush looks coached and flippant during a CPAC performance. Most of his support heard on television appeared manufactured. Not really supporting him. And why not? I mean, why should we support Bush? Let me say it that way. Look at what his dad's been doing to this country for 50 plus years. Yeah. The only person alive that does not remember where he was when JFK was shot. But he does remember calling in a tip that Oswald was a shooter. Oh, and Skull and Bones. Just we need another Skull and Bones satanic Illuminati scumbag. Rand Paul rocks the house. As you heard the chants there of President Paul and a group of supporters wearing Stand With Rand shirts. Definite shot at the Stand With Hillary music video. Is Rick Santorum a 2016 contender? And Duck Dynasty brings cultural war to Washington. As a recipient of the Andrew Breitbart Freedom Award, Duck Dynasty's Phil Robertson brought a bunch of patriotic, God-loving quotes from the Founding Fathers, as well as what looked like a duct tape family Bible to read to the audience. The ballroom was the fullest it had ever been, and more moderate Republicans and reporters waiting for Bush shifted uncomfortably in their seats as he offered some advice about morality, marriage, sex, and HIV. When was the last time you heard a politician say, "I love you," wondered Robertson. It was a good question, but I didn't hear any of the politicians who spoke afterward pick up on the theme. Be sure to read Breitbart's event on coverage of the event. That's the way it closes out, and that's what we're going to close out here with. But just remember, folks, Obama's so great. I mean, he looks good on TV. You know, he makes all the music, TV, voting machines, history books, ice cream, dairy products. Go out and watch the Lego movie, folks, and put it all in perspective. The tyranny of the Lego movie is real. We are here now. And closing out, going back to what Rand Paul said with the amendments and how they all play together. If you lose one, you lose them all. It reminds me of a thing from Boy Meets World. An episode where the group of friends all break up, and Eric moves out to the woods to become a mountain man and write his memoirs. And all his memoirs say is lose one friend, lose all friends. Lose one amendment, lose one right, lose all rights. We'll leave you with that today. Thank you for joining us for this very special episode of Weekend Sit and Spin Marathon. 3 hours. Pulled it off. Can't believe it. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll be back next Saturday, 9 a.m. right here on KineticHiFi.com, Spreaker Web Radio. And hope you enjoy your Saturday. It's going to be a chilly one, but still beautiful one in the Low Country. And remember the legendary words of Star-Lord as we get out of here. Peter Quill. Do something good, something bad, maybe a little bit of both. Have a great Saturday, folks, and we'll be back next week to see you again.